all over it this morning.
And Jen Jensen.
I can't even. I mean,
on your home of the Gamecocks.
I don't know. Everything's going wrong, and I don't know what to do. I don't know, but I might go back to bed.
107.5 The Game.
Friday morning, April the 15th, tax day. Hopefully you two have gotten your taxes done at this point.
Oh, yeah. I do that right away.
You get right to it? Okay. Important to get done. So it's a whole lot of things going on today. If you want to be a part of the program, obviously things to talk about, 803-404-6100. How you can do so this morning as we get you through the end of the week and into Easter weekend. As a lot going on this weekend, it will be highlighted by South Carolina spring game. Yesterday morning, we were out at Founders Park, out at Ray Tanner's suite, hanging out, being a part of the festivities, and just generally having fun. Patrick was flipping through television stations left and right. You were watching the Kardashians. You were watching Jersey Shore.
Immortals.
That's the proper look. Yes, Jen. That would be the proper look. Yeah, you missed a very invested. Was it MTV2? Was the television station of choice?
No, I mean, that's Sci-Fi Channel was playing Immortals. MTV2 was playing Jersey Shore, and then Kardashians was on E. And then we also watched some bowling.
We did watch bowling at the very end, Jen. We got invested in bowling. It was a really
ESPN
good time.
was playing on the other TV the whole time.
It's true. So. We did. There was 2 TVs in Ray Tanner's suite. Very, very elaborate, luxurious suite, and ESPN was on the other one. I'm pretty sure you're talking, but I definitely don't hear you, although I'm having all kinds of issues this morning.
Yeah, I've had a few in here already.
Okay. Well, we'll compare issues. I did scare our poor maintenance guy outside, I guess. The maintenance guy who every morning is super nice and is singing when we arrive.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I came around the corner. From where we park, and, it's a good Friday. It's Good Friday. I was in a good mood. I'm ready to get this show over with, kind of start the weekend, get to some Easter festivities. I've got a ham lined up that I'm very excited about. And I just said good morning, and I'm pretty sure he jumped about 7 feet in the air. Like, absolutely terrified, that poor guy.
You are menacing.
Obviously it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Coming around the corner downtown can catch someone a tad off guard. So
this is true.
We have gotten off, and plus I can't find my little lanyard to let me in the building or let me in the studio, which maybe that's a sign of something. But the headphones, as you can see, are giving me quite the ordeal already. So
that's right. I've had to reboot a computer, so I have no audio editing right now.
Okay. So we're, as you can see, the early game. We are off and running on a Friday morning. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're up and at 'em. We've got a busy morning here in front of us. Langston Moore will join us coming up here in just a little while, as we will talk about the new book he's got. He is excited about that. We'll also, Patrick, talk about the spring game this coming weekend. I kind of put it out last night, a discussion that you and I had yesterday about the most anticipated Gamecock that maybe we can remember or that you can remember. And I will put a poll question out later on Twitter if you want to weigh in on that. The 4, I think we came up with the 4, although somebody hit me up last night and said Steve Tannehill back in 92. I believe that's right, 92. Yeah, way past your
There's no way, though.
Way pre your time. I don't know. Maybe because back then, lack of internet, you were able to follow Phil Kornblut with his recruiting, and you kind of got information that way, but you couldn't go and watch the huddle films, or you couldn't. And
he wasn't number one.
Steve Tannehill, I believe, was, but as a quarterback, I mean, it's kind of like Todd Ellis. I've seen a lot of stuff about Todd Ellis back in the 80s being one of the top 10 prospects in the country and the number 1 overall quarterback. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never gone back and looked. I'm just saying what others have told me about kind of the legend of Todd Ellis. But back then in the 90s, I mean, this is what I grew up on recruiting. You heard about these guys. I still, my first real recruiting story was Lavernius Coles, listening to Phil Kornblut at night, and Kornblut talking about Lavernius Coles picking Florida State over South Carolina. Do you remember? You don't remember Lavernius Coles, but do you remember the name?
Of course, I know Lavernius Coles.
Okay,
he played for the Redskins.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure. I didn't know exactly what his professional career was.
Was drafted by the Jets, signed with the Redskins, or I don't remember how he got with us for the beginning, and then was traded back to the Jets for.
We've done this before, and
for player swap.
Not Sean Taylor. Who?
No, it was another wide receiver.
Who?
Miami.
Santana Moss. Okay, so but
that worked out well for us.
But you're right with Spencer Rattler. Obviously, you've seen him play. But even with Marcus Lattimore, you saw games on television. You were able to watch him prior. Jadeveon Clowney, same thing. So you were able to like keep up with these guys before they really came to school. Whereas
Spencer Rattler, before he was even a recruit.
That's true.
I mean, he was a recruit, but before he was even remotely close to college, he was what, 16 during QB1?
The QB1 show that's been talked about. But I guess the point is maybe back then, maybe back in the 80s and the 90s, you would hear about these recruits. But because there wasn't, again, you couldn't just jump on the internet and watch their huddle film or their see what they were up to. You kind of had a tendency to maybe get a little bit more excited and anticipate a little bit more out of them. That's why I asked maybe some of the older fans this morning.
If Spencer Rattler committed to South Carolina out of high school, would there be more hype for him in the spring game now or then? Because the fact that we've seen him play well.
I think that's why there's more hype for him. You've seen him. You've seen the college production. You've seen him in college become a guy that people are very excited about. Yeah. And the reason, like,
and then what would we be saying if Spencer Rattler transferred to Clemson?
Oh, that guy's a bum. Did you see?
Couldn't even beat out
if he was
freshman.
If he was transferring to Clemson,
like how much are we being like garnet colored glasses fans by saying that Spencer Rattler is that guy? Because DJ has a lot of issues and did not play well last year, but he was also the #1 quarterback in the country. And Clemson fans are ready to just throw him out the back door and say it's Cole's time or Cade Klubnik's time.
It's true. I don't know.
I don't know. Are we being like? That's what I'm struggling with. Am I being a homer by being excited for Spencer Rattler?
You're not being a homer, but yeah, there's a level here of
tempering expectations.
And that's why I kind of asked going into tonight, or excuse me, going into tomorrow night, in which will be our first true look at Spencer Rattler as a Gamecock. Yeah, obviously the first 14 practices, unless you've been very lucky or know somebody, you've not been able to get out and go check out what he's done at practice. So tomorrow night will be the first time you really get a good look at him in a Gamecock jersey and what exactly he's capable of doing, because you kind of mentioned it yesterday. You expect Spencer Rattler to be given, I would say, 75, 80% of the playbook tomorrow night. There's got to be an element of, all right, we're going to go out and let him try and make sure he knows what he's doing, and we're going to highlight some plays for the fans and try and make some big things happen so there continues to be some, or I shouldn't say continues, but maybe that enthusiasm ramps up a little bit. You're supposed to have a slew of recruits in the building tomorrow night, several of them very big-time recruits, and to an extent with those, Patrick, you kind of want to show off an offense there that kids go, oh, yeah, this summer. Because a lot of these kids, the way recruiting goes too, Patrick, a lot of these kids may have their decision made by the time the season rolls around. They're not going to be uncommitted by the time the season gets here for them to watch the offense and go, okay, I want to be a part of that. You get an opportunity tomorrow night to show them maybe some of that and say, hey, here's what our offense can look like with talented players involved.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. How important is it to open the playbook, or what if you just call shot plays every once in a while and say, look, so and so wide receiver recruit, we're going to give you the chance to go up and get deep balls or whatever. Does it need to be your offense? And is it important for Spencer Rattler and the offense to run 75% of the playbook? Like, they do other scrimmages. This isn't the only time that they're going to do live reps or a scrimmage format. It's how important actually is that? I feel like it's far more of a fan event. So you're going to do what is going to please the fans. And that's basically throw it to your to your studs, throw it to Juice Wells, throw it to Josh Fan, throw it to the people that fans came to see.
So we'll talk about that a lot this morning. We will cover some of that, some college basketball news as it pertains to South Carolina. Yesterday, Lamont Parrish rounding out his staff, and some recruiting news to get into, some of which is pretty big news regarding a prospect, a local prospect that is transferring out of an SEC school and appears to be taking an official visit to South Carolina this weekend. I'll get you that information. It's a pretty professional tease I just did. And of course, I do want to get into this a little bit. You guys see, we joked about the sale of Tom Brady's final touchdown pass. Have you seen what has happened now with the sale? Remember the $518,000 ball that somebody bought hours before, I believe?
The day, I think I feel like it was the morning of.
Well, I'll go ahead and because we're not going to spend all morning on this, the $518,000 sale of the game ball used in the top for Tom Brady's final touchdown pass against Jalen Ramsey has been voided by mutual agreement between buyer, co-signer, and auction house, according to Leland's Auctions on Thursday. So you do feel a little bit better for the person who spent $518,000. You don't? No? Just heartless on Easter weekend?
Well, it's not about that. That if you're willing to spend $518,000 on a football, is it even the most relevant of Tom Brady's footballs? If you just auctioned off Tom Brady's first touchdown pass and Tom Brady's last touchdown pass, or the touchdown that he won the Super Bowl with to James White in overtime against the Falcons, or just random things like that. I mean, is his last touchdown pass far and away the most valuable of just the Tom Brady footballs? The record-breaking, whatever record you want to break, the passing touchdown record, the passing yard record, there's so many different Tom Brady footballs. So if you're willing to pay $500,000
for the
one
last
football,
touchdown,
you're probably doing really well, and you probably have too much money, and it's probably good for you that you lost $500,000.
Well, didn't lose at this point now.
Yeah,
Mike Hefner, president and partner at Leland, said we wanted to do the right thing. He added the original buyer obviously pulled out. The Ball's co-signer still plans to sell it privately through Leland, so you can still purchase the football used, the touchdown. Just another one of Tom Brady's touchdowns.
Tom Brady's last touchdown pass of 2021.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
big deal.
That's of the 2021 season. So, yeah, we will see. So that
was it too.
Nobody knows.
Mike Evans?
Was it Mike Evans?
I can't remember.
I think you're right, but I don't think anybody.
We just know it was against Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, you could say just let's hypothetically say it's Mike Evans' last touchdown catch.
I'd rather have the ball that little kid handed back to Aaron Rodgers than that football now.
Well, you got me thinking when you mentioned of all the footballs that Tom Brady has had.
Is there a most valuable football?
The ball that he was holding with the tuck rule one might actually be a little bit higher. Who knows? So,
what's the most valuable ball in all of football?
Is it the
Immaculate Reception?
That was what I was going to say. I have zero clue what football you might want, like in your Easter basket Sunday morning.
You could have any football in history. That's just something I would never care about. I could have $1 billion. I would not.
Yeah, because
want that
I could go buy one from Walmart, scuff it up a little bit, send it out, throw it out around the yard, go put it in a nice case, put it up on the shelf in the house, and be like, yeah, that's from so and so.
There's some things I understand, like a game-worn jersey. If you want to hang up a game-worn jersey of your favorite player and put it in a case, that's cool. I'm fine with that. But paying thousands of dollars for things like that, I'll never understand it.
No, I'm with there. We've talked about that. What our collector's item.
I do want to know what is if we could have a listener game of someone sending us a picture and showing us the most expensive piece of memorabilia. I want to know if we have a listener that spent like $10,000 on a piece of memorabilia or something ridiculous like that. I can't imagine. So
no.
If we do, I want to be their friend.
Yeah, I'm kind of. They might not be responsible with their money, but that's okay. What's the most valuable piece of memorabilia you have?
I really don't have anything
stands out.
No, I really don't. My father's given me stuff over time, but I that's a great question now that you ask out loud, and I sit here and kind of think. There's nothing displayed to my knowledge in my house that is deemed like like if you wouldn't be going for any sporting items if you're breaking into my house looking for for anything. I'm trying to think of what I even have that would be relevant to the discussion. I don't think I have anything that's there's nothing off the top of my head. I guess, I mean, maybe some worn gloves from a game, and those are in Austin's room. I don't think there's anything that I own that is specific to what you're asking. Do you have anything?
I was thinking that now I have so much Redskins gear that is one day that going to be worth something. And I don't know if there's just too much of it in circulation.
I think there is. Yeah, I think there is.
That it will never really matter. Like, it's never going to be a rare thing.
It will be in like 20 years, but by then, I don't know I don't know the answer to what I'm about to say. I don't know if they could start making that again, like the retro.
Yeah, like Mitchell and Ness.
Like, now that I think about it, I would assume if you wanted, like, let's say a Montreal Expos.
Yeah, you can get it on Mitchell and Ness, I think.
Okay, yeah, if you wanted a Montreal Expos jersey or shirt, T-shirt, I'm sure Heath Line has one. He has all the retro stuff. But,
yeah, of course.
Yeah, just anyway.
I'm looking on Mitchell and Ness right now to see if they have old Redskins. Nope, it just says Washington football team.
There you go. Okay. 803-404-6100. So we've got plenty of topics out there for you.
They have all of the jerseys. They've just taken Redskins off of the
Washington
off of the jersey, yeah. Actually,
Okay.
they do have one Sean Taylor. I mean, I have a couple Sean Taylor jerseys, but they make a million of those now.
Lee weighing in this morning and says, I did pay $1,500 for a game-worn Ray Lewis autographed jersey from his Super Bowl season. That'd be pretty cool.
Which Super Bowl season? The first one or the last one? Because the last one was his farewell season as well.
It's a good, yeah. It's pretty interesting. That's
Meow.
That was Jen. That was not the board doing that.
Oh yeah, that was me. It just seemed a little catty. Oh, his farewell season this season or last year's season, or it's just
No, I can get on board with Patrick. Like, at different seasons.
No, I totally agree. It kind of made me laugh. Like, oh, dig, meow.
803.
Last one, yeah. I mean, a jersey from Ray Lewis is a game-worn jersey. I mean, they only played 16 regular season games, and then however, I assume they had a bye in the playoffs. But Ray Lewis's farewell season, there's probably only 19 of those jerseys. It's pretty cool.
Yep. So, all right. So we got that this morning. If you want to weigh in on something that you have purchased at some point in your life that was a lot of money, you can send that in. I'm asking also a little bit about the most anticipated Gamecock that you have ever had. Jim in Carolina Beach doesn't have an answer. He just says good morning, and he's our resident Clemson fan. So he doesn't have a most anticipated Clemson player.
Because you don't really anticipate any Clemson players because you don't care.
Yeah, he
I mean,
just wants to listen to us, and I appreciate
absolutely
that he sends us the beautiful pictures of the sunrise each and every morning.
That is kind of depressing, though. Like, who's the most anticipated Alabama spring game? They'll just list off.
I mean, well, no, I think that any university can do that. Like, name the most anticipated player that you think your university has had. We've got some Tennessee listeners. We've got some our
Tennessee's would be Peyton, right?
I don't know, because see, now you're going back and you're doing this retroactively where you go like, oh man,
but he was Peyton Manning. Guy too. He was Archie Manning's son.
I don't think
broke the mold, went to Tennessee instead of Ole Miss.
True, but I don't know if Tennessee's had some really good players. Remember, I said most anticipated. There have been some really good players that went to Tennessee that turned out to be complete busts.
Okay, true.
Absolute bust. And that's what I'm saying. You start talking about, like, all right, this guy we expected to be really, really good, and it could be the start of a season. Ryan Helinski was pretty highly anticipated.
Number one quarterback in the state of California is a big deal.
Like, he was pretty highly anticipated. I'm trying to think for Clemson, some guys that have come in that didn't work out or did work out. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence.
Nope.
I don't know if Clemson fans would say, oh yeah, it's Trevor Lawrence is who they would say is the most highly anticipated. There's been some other ones in the past. Roscoe Crosby was not as highly rated as Trevor Lawrence, but Roscoe Crosby back in the day, Clemson fans were ecstatic to see him on the field. You can kind of go down the list there of a couple things on what you kind of want to do, but with your particular team, and then that's why I asked that most anticipated player for South Carolina that you can remember, because Spencer Rattler is going to be up there. Jadeveon Clowney is probably where I would go with that, but South Carolina at the time, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. If you want to weigh in on that, 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Obviously, last night, I've not mentioned it just yet, but I will now. 9-1 over at Founders Park. South Carolina drops to 16-17 on the season. They dropped to 4-9 in conference play, 9-1. Really, I hate to say it like this, it wasn't even really that close. It was a beating pretty thoroughly. Mississippi putting up 2 runs in the second, 3 runs in the third, and 2 runs in the fourth to grab a 7-0 lead. Patrick threw 4 innings. And then it was just basically a cakewalk for them. South Carolina put up 1 in the 8th, but it really didn't matter.
Happy Big Gamecock weekend.
Happy Big Gamecock weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're off and running. Reminder,
Here we go.
You can get out and see our buddy Moritz with the beach
They'll
volleyball.
get it back for us.
They'll get going this morning at Wheeler Beach, 11 a.m. this morning against College of Charleston, 5:30 today against Coastal
And if you
Carolina.
go, tell them you're there because you heard about it on the early game.
It's true. Yeah, tell him you enjoyed his interview on the early game yesterday. So we will get into that. Yeah, last night there's just not much to really dig into on that. 9-1 last night. Aiden Hunter takes the loss, falls to 5-4 on the season. South Carolina will be back on the diamond tonight against.
I think we were
Ole
onto
Miss.
something with it. They won't crack 500 again.
I give you full credit for that. I give you full credit. That was your call. So we'll get into that a little bit this morning. We'll get into some spring game coming up in about 30 minutes. Langston Moore will join us. He wants to talk about his book. We'll talk about his memories playing for Lou Holtz. Patrick, I'll be interested to hear Langston this morning. We'll talk about the new book. Used to was a rooster, I believe is how I'm supposed to say it. We'll get his opinion but I want to get his opinion a little bit on spring games back in his day compared to this a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like the anticipation, the buildup. Spring
Did you say
games
this a day?
this a day.
Okay.
Used to was a rooster, I believe is how.
Oh, so you've really been practicing to prepare for this segment.
I did. I
when
got
it
very
comes in.
fired up. Yeah, was ready to go from the get. Again, I apologize for walking in about 45 seconds before the start of the program, but it's not because I was running. I've been sitting in my car since about 5:50 looking for my little lanyard that lets me in, and I looked and I was like, oh, I probably should go do the radio show.
Did you by the way find it?
No, I have no
Oh.
clue where it's at.
Because this 2 mornings ago, I was looking all around, driving in. I couldn't find my lanyard either, and I was like, "Where the heck is it?" I'd already put it around my neck.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of those stories.
I did do that a couple times, and
Yeah,
then when I went to come in the front door, the security guard was not there. So then I just stood out in the courtyard for a minute trying to figure out what to do before it dawned on me. Call Patrick and see if he'll let me in real quick.
Absolutely.
So there we go.
You didn't call me. That's probably smart.
Well, you were getting ready. You were apparently
I would have
dealing,
let you in.
you were dealing with computer issues. You were fighting the computer in there. So we're off and running. It's a Good Friday edition of the early game. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Patrick Pratt, and Jen Jensen. It's 107.5 The Game.
The Extra Point.
With Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central.
9 a.m. to noon.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
It's official. The air conditioner is on at the Gunner House. The air conditioner is finally on. It is running properly. And I tell you what, I am thankful that I've been in touch with AAA Heating and Air. I've gotten them out to the house and had them do the inspection that I need to make sure that heating and air unit is working properly right now. You need to do the same. You can give them a phone call this morning, 803-677-1500. That's how you can get in touch with them. It's less than 60 days now, but about the next 45 days, April and May, they'll have their pre-summer sale going on. If you need a brand new unit, give AAA Heating and Air a call. $1,500 system buyback is how they start. So they'll buy back your old unit with an instant rebate, and then 0% interest for 60 months to well-qualified buyers. That's right, 0% interest for 60 months to well-qualified buyers. You can also get their pre-summer maintenance package for a new customer. $49 is all it'll cost you. And if you're thinking your credit is shot and, well, you're not going to qualify for any of this, don't. They have guaranteed financing on a new system. So call Roy and Dana Finley this morning, 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. Guaranteed financing, instant buyback of your old unit, 0% interest for 60 months to well-qualified buyers. AAA Heating and Air has got you taken care of. If that heating and air unit has been little shaky lately, you don't want it to go into the summer and worry about waking up one night with your house being about 90 degrees. That's miserable. Don't allow that to happen. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
nice start to your Good Friday morning. No accidents to report at this time. And your forecast is going to be mostly sunny today, 78 for the high. We are going to see some rain possibilities tomorrow, but really, it should be clearing up by the time we hit the spring game. More like between like 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. is when we'll be expecting most of the rain. And then on Sunday, and high tomorrow, 76. And then on Sunday, late day showers, 72 for the high. Right now, it's 59, a little bit breezy. 107.5 the game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Indeed. Attract, interview, and hire at Indeed.com/credit. Back in a 2015 birthday shout-out to my hero, Tom Seaver, I begged the Wilpons, then the Mets owners, to erect a statue of the franchise while he's alive to witness it. 7 years later, it's bittersweet to see the statue unveiled today without Tom Terrific. However, his wife, Nancy, will be in attendance. I'm Boomer Esiason.
CBS Sports Radio.
Carrie, can you make sure Ada's cleaned up?
Restaurant Week has Sanjay's tables
Can
jam-packed.
somebody please refill the...
He needs more servers to keep these new customers coming back.
Let's keep these tables turning as fast as possible, okay? Gonna need to hustle.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sponsored by Indeed.com. If your company needs to spring into efficient hiring, then check out Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Hardee's presents your Wake Up and Win Bite. 2 sizzling sausage patties, win. Melty cheese and a freshly cracked fried egg, double win. All on a made-from-scratch biscuit, win again. The new Ultimate Sausage Biscuit is so hearty and delicious, you'll start your day on a winning streak. Bite into the new Ultimate Sausage Biscuit from Hardee's and order on the Hardee's app to earn double the stars on any purchase. Feed your happy. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants during regular breakfast hours. Price and participation may vary. My Rewards members earn double stars through the app for a limited time. See app for details.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
At the Samuels Reynolds Law Firm, we've seen how terrible accidents turn lives upside down, and we're proud to be the lawyers our clients depend on during their toughest moments. I'm Jason Reynolds.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Trying to have a good Friday. No meat today. Myrtle Beach. Jealous. Travis, is this Colts? Colts Peyton Manning? Good one. Also a good one. Jimmy Clausen, what? It's a lot, Brian. Is there a rhyme or reason to Ben, Tony Dorsett, and Joe Montana? Cowboys, Steelers, Notre Dame. Magic. That's very cool. That's really cool. I like that. Is this where you watch games and stuff? Man, that's so loud. Rookie year Peyton Manning jersey. I like that. What's going to be more valuable, Bill? The Redskins or Washington football team gear? Washington football team gear was just a 1-year deal. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Chase Young was drafted. So what the really valuable thing would be is if you had a Chase Young Redskins jersey, you could buy that for about a couple weeks, and then they switched because Chase Young never actually played for the Washington football team, or never played for the Redskins, only played for the Washington football team. So that's what I would love to get my hands on.
Eight 803-404-6100, how you can be a part of the program this morning. Coming up in about 25 minutes, Langston Moore will join us to talk about not only the new book that he has out, but he'll also join us to talk about the spring game, Patrick, starting tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Williams-Brice Stadium. There'll be fireworks. There'll be a concert by Patrick Davis. It'll be a big-time event over at Williams-Brice Stadium, and we'll see how it kind of goes. And again, I think for a lot, as I read, anonymous texter says it was Marcus Lattimore. I was going to say for a lot of people, I think Spencer Rattler, the anticipation to actually see him in a Gamecock jersey, because I don't know where people stood on, what was it, about December, let's say 1st, December 2nd, in terms of the possibility of Spencer Rattler coming to South Carolina. Obviously, you think back after the 30-0 loss to Clemson, and we'll back it up. I think it was December 5th is when we found out South Carolina was going to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. And there was a little bit of excitement, because some people didn't want to go and play North Carolina. They didn't want to go through going to Charlotte.
Yeah, that was it more than playing North Carolina. Did not want to play in Charlotte anymore.
So, you kind of go back to where people thought or sat or how they felt at that particular time. And I don't know what the mindset was for, we could land this guy, the top transfer in the country. I mean, that's what he is, right? He's the top transfer in the country. Well, maybe I guess Caleb Williams, because he ended up beating him out. I think in terms of rankings, Rattler was.
I don't
2
know.
or
They
3.
ended up hyping up Jackson Dart a lot too. There were a lot.
By the way,
a lot of quarterbacks.
Did you see somebody put out the tweet? I've got to go back and find the exactly when they play each other, but you saw JT Daniels this
West
week
Virginia.
is heading to West Virginia. And West Virginia and Pittsburgh play each other this year in the backyard brawl.
JT and Keaton Slovis.
And it said there's nothing that's more 2022 college football than two guys who were battling it out for the starting job at Southern Cal 3 years ago that are now playing against each other in a West Virginia-Pittsburgh game in September.
Yeah, a kid from LA and Arizona playing at West Virginia and Pitt, while a kid from DC starts at Southern Cal.
Yeah.
Perfect.
There's
And another
college,
kid from Arizona starts at South Carolina.
there's college football for you in 2022. But, this thing, and I asked the question, 803-404-6100, is Spencer Rattler the most anticipated Gamecock, or is there somebody else? A couple of you are weighing in on the text line. Again, Ron from Lake Marion, just going with another one, says Willie Korn at Clemson was a very highly anticipated prospect. Jim in Carolina Beach does say Trevor Lawrence for Clemson. Anonymous texter says Marcus Lattimore after the hat fake, in which I don't think you really paid attention to that. But yeah, he pulled two hats out of a bag. In the first one, they were kind of did that thing where they were smushed together,
Right.
basically. One was behind the other. And the first one you saw was the Auburn hat. But again, I talk about like anticipation of, players that you want to see and what they do for your school. We've seen Spencer Rattler play football. The question is not can he or what can he do on the football. We know what he can do, Patrick. It's what can he do for South Carolina. It's kind of the same thing with Jadeveon Clowney or Marcus Lattimore. You saw them play high school football, whereas I mentioned Steve Tannehill or say a Todd Ellis or players back in the 80s or 90s. You didn't really get the highlight film. You had to read about them in the local newspaper or the recruiting reports. So maybe there's a player back from that era that was a little bit more highly anticipated than Rattler tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, the only comparison I have in my time here is Helinski. But even with him, the difference is Jake Bentley was here. So it was more like, okay, we'll get a quick glimpse of Ryan Helinski before Jake Bentley takes over and hopefully plays every snap except for fourth quarter when you're blowing whoever out. But there's also a level of when it's a freshman, they could be anything. They could be a bust. They could be the next Heisman winner. But there's a level of, all right, let's not put too much on this 18-year-old kid right away. But Spencer Rattler, you're not worried about putting too much on him because, again, he's already played at a high level. What was the bowl game they played? He didn't make it to a college football playoff. They played like a Cotton Bowl or something. What was it? Do you remember?
I'll go back and look real quick.
It was against Florida. Is that the one they got waxed by Florida?
No, I think they waxed Florida because Florida,
Florida,
Kyle Trask and all
Pitt,
those.
Kyle Trask played, but Kyle Pitts
That's right.
opted out. Kadarius Toney opted out. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, he's already played at a high level, and you're not worried about him completely being a bust. It would be stunning if he was terrible for South Carolina, right? That would be
No,
something
I think that's part of
if
the
he was
anticipation. Like
terrible-
it's one of those things where you worry about him coming in because of his background and struggling, and then it kind of validates maybe what a lot of people felt about Marcus Satterfield last year. I think it raises concerns.
or validates the idea that anyone can step into Lincoln Riley's offense and light the world on fire.
Maybe that would be something. That'd be a different perspective. I think a national perspective is if he does that. I mean, again, who knows? But no, I think it's one of those things. Shane Beamer right now again I think on December again, say let's call it December 5th, I think was the Sunday that we found out South Carolina was going to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I think overall approval for Shane Beamer after year one was extremely high, 70-80%. What people questioned at that point was, okay, what are you going to do with Marcus Satterfield? You and I sat right here in this studio in these chairs, and we said, okay, you need to be definitive right away. You want to keep him, just come out and say, hey, look, he's our guy. We're sticking with him. Don't let this thing linger. And then that's kind of what happened. But then they go on to win the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and the offense looked very creative. You found ways to get to Kerryon Joyner. You found ways to get to Kerryon Joyner involved, and you came out of that bowl game with the offense looking a million times better. And not only that, but when you leave Charlotte, you've got Stogner and Rattler in the bag. They're coming to South Carolina. They've committed in that 25-day period in between finding out the Duke's Mayo Bowl and winning that thing and blowing out North Carolina. And what that did was, I think, recreate a ton of not goodwill, but great will for Shane Beamer, where people are very excited, said, okay, yeah, this is the guy to lead our program. Spencer Rattler shows up and struggles this year. I don't think people are going to look at Spencer Rattler and go, oh, wait a minute, you're not the guy. They're going to look at Marcus Satterfield, and all the blame's going to go on him. And then they're going to look at Shane Beamer and go, you just had maybe the most talented quarterback to ever come through South Carolina, and that's the guy you use to coach him.
and he's probably not coming back because that is the expectation. If we're setting a line of is this Spencer Rattler's only season? Yes or no? Yeah, yes would be a minus, right? Like it would be. It's more
I would
likely
say,
that
yeah. I mean,
it's more like this is his only season.
I would assume the general feeling, barring injury, that's the one. I don't know. I don't know where the wood is again to start knocking on it around here, but if Spencer Rattler plays, I would say halfway as expected, yes, he will go to the NFL draft because, again, the talent's there. Patrick, I asked you the other day, and you pointed about the television that we have here in the studio, and you mentioned, they were showing top quarterbacks for 2023. I'll ask you again, could you ballpark where he may or may not have been in this particular draft? It's not a strong quarterback draft. And if he had just said, hey, I've got my 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, he was 17 yards shy of 1,500 last year. His completion percentage, again, was 74.9%. And then think about this, because you know this. Then he goes to the combine, and he does pro days, and he does all those underwear drills where everybody goes, oh, man, this guy has all the arm talent in the world. We do have the numbers from one really good season. The numbers this past season weren't that bad. Like, it's not inconceivable that he climbs back into the top 3 discussion of quarterbacks, which would have put him in about the top 20 picks.
He would be in my opinion, it would be him and Malik Willis. He has so much more upside than Kenny Pickett. It's not even funny. I would never consider taking Kenny Pickett if Spencer Rattler was available. But it's actually possible that he is hurting his draft stock by coming back. If he had just gone in the worst quarterback class in a decade and been a part of that, there's a chance that he could go to a good team, could have gone to a good team at the end of the first round. Like, say the Steelers drafted him and said, we'll let Mitch Trubisky do whatever he does this year, but we're going to mold you to be the next starter. He goes to a ready-made franchise and can just step right in as a second-year player and could light it up. Next year, there's going to be Bryce Young. There's going to be C.J. Stroud. Someone else is going to come out of nowhere. They always do. There is a chance that he would have fared better in this draft than he will next year, even if he plays well. Obviously, his ceiling for next year is number 1. That's Bryce Young's ceiling. That's C.J. Stroud's ceiling. That's Spencer Rattler's ceiling. I don't know who else is in the discussion just yet, but there's a non-zero chance he would have been a first rounder anyway this year.
It's interesting. And again, who is this on Craig on the Buford Lending live stream says the Panthers would be taking him.
It's possible.
And you would be pounding the table for that, right? You'd be like, look, if Malik Willis goes at 2, you still take the talent of Spencer Rattler over the small hands of Kenny Pickett, right? That would be your
100%. He's got a better arm. He's more athletic. He's younger by 3 years. Yeah, for sure.
We'll continue talking about this. Richard makes a very good point, and one that, look, I don't know. We're just not going to know really until the Arkansas game, and I think after that. But Richard says Rattler is going to be fine. What is that offensive line going to do for him? Don't think he will let the fans down, but like I said, they're going to let him down by getting all these skill players and no offensive line. And yes, that offensive line, obviously, I don't know if we'll learn anything about them tomorrow. I mean, I guess the only thing you learn is bad things, right? Like if they're snapping the ball and the defensive line is just blowing them up.
Yeah.
Because if they go out and they play well, and let's say Marshawn Lloyd or, Christian Bill Smith, or let's say you have 3 guys go for 100 yards. Let's say it's a great running day. Nobody's going to praise the offensive line, right? It's going to be, man, that defensive line is brutal. They're awful.
No, and we're just going to be annoyed that they kept running the ball.
That's true too. Yes. Well, yeah. But
nobody wants to see 50% run pass ratio.
No, everybody wants to see. You want to see all the quarterbacks just throwing it around tomorrow. Yeah. You want to see all the quarterbacks throwing it around. We'll continue talking about that. Langston Moore coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll get into some spring football thoughts with him. He'll hang out with us from 7 to 8 o'clock. Chris Deering at 8:05 this morning, and more from you. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Halftime Show with Jay, Terry, and Tommy.
Noon to 3.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
And I want to talk to you about our friends at Caney Foundation Specialists. Caney Foundation has been proudly serving North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, including offices in Columbia, Greenville, Augusta, Charlotte, and Charleston. They offer quality products, proven services, and professional experience to permanently repair any foundation and crawl space problem you might have. Candy Foundation specialists train their employees to be rich in order to provide the customer service. Rich, meaning responsible, invested, customer-driven, and happy. Obviously, foundation repair is the core of their specialties. Maybe you have cracks in your exterior brick. Maybe you have cracks in your walls above your windows or door frames. Maybe you have doors or windows that stick, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. Those can be signs of foundation problems, and you need to call Canty Foundation specialists if that is the case. 803-424-8380 is their number. They also will repair your crawl space issues. So if you have an open crawl space and recently experienced a storm, you may have standing water under your home. So high humidity and condensation in your crawl space can create an environment for mold, mildew, and pests, including termites, and that moisture can lead to wood rot and floor joist problems. So again, 803-424-8380 is the number to call for foundation repair, crawl space repair, concrete leveling, concrete repair, commercial services, and basement waterproofing. Those are all the things Canty Foundation specialists can do for you. 803-424-8380 is the number to call, or you can visit on the web at cantycanfixit.com.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
We do have one accident to let you know about. That's I-20 eastbound around mile marker 51. Again, that's I-20 eastbound around mile marker 51. That's really the exit before Highway 6. So there is a big slowdown there due to that accident. Again, I-20 eastbound at mile marker 51. Your forecast for today, mostly sunny, 78 for the high, some rain and storms tomorrow, but should be clearing out mid to late afternoon. So hopefully won't be impacting the spring game. Sunday for your Easter, late day showers, 72 for the high. It's 59 right now, 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Allstate. Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
You haven't tasted real Carolina barbecue until you've experienced Little Pig's Barbecue. Full-service dine-in buffet with barbecue ribs, brisket, chicken, rice, hash, tomato pie, macaroni and cheese, and many more of your favorites. Eat in or take out. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road is open from 11 to 2 on Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday, and 11 to 3 on Sunday. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road. Little Pig's family looks forward to seeing you.
Another prescription, another surgery, here we go again. But the joint pain is still here.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. Try something new that can lead you to a better life.
Football champion Emmitt Smith's talking about QC Kinetics, all natural, non-invasive alternatives to surgery and harmful pain medications.
I tried to avoid as many of those things as possible because I did not want to get hooked on pain meds. I didn't want those things to hamper my life.
Patients across the country are saying no to pain meds and discovering QC Kinetics all-natural, biologic, long-lasting solutions to pain relief. Regenerative treatments that help your body restore damaged tissue and get rid of the pain.
The natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
End the cycle of pain meds and avoid surgery.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860.
Tax season comes and goes, but foundation and crawl space problems only continue to get worse. If your home has cracked bricks or drywall, doors or windows that stick, uneven floors, or musty, moldy smells coming from that nasty crawl space, Mount Valley Foundation Services will provide a free inspection and estimate to fix it before it gets worse. Don't wait. Go to fixmyfoundation.com to schedule your free, no-obligation inspection.
Mount Valley Foundation Services. Rock solid foundation.
Spring out of your old car and spring into a new Chrysler orgy.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Spring cleaning going on now at Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. Featuring new Jeep Compass, lease for just $249 per month. Or new Grand Cherokee Laredo, lease for just $239 per month. Yes, a new Grand Cherokee Laredo for $239 per month. Plus, we'll give you exactly what your trade is worth down to the penny. High mileage, cosmetic issues, unreliable. At Galliana Chrysler Jeep, all trade-ins are welcome. Jeep celebration event going on now. New Jeep Compass, lease for just $249 per month. Or new Grand Cherokee Cherokee Laredo. Lease for just $239 per month.
Gotta go to Galliana.
Galliana Chrysler Jeep on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or GallianaSC.com. 39-month lease on Grand Cherokee. 24-month on Compass. On stock numbers 29025 and 17270. $39.99 due at signing plus tax and tab. Includes $225 closing fee. No security deposit. Expires.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Perez, and Jen Jensen.
on your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
I wouldn't say I have any. I'm being totally honest. I don't have any secrets under my hat, and I really haven't thought about doing anything like that. Not to say that we won't. We'll see how the game's going and things like that. But no, I mean, we want to certainly have some fun with it and entertain people. But I want to see us play football. Is what I want to see.
That was Wednesday, I believe, Tuesday when he met with the media there. And Patrick,
we have to address it.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it tricks up the sleeve?
Of course, it's
secrets under that. Secrets under the hat. Jen,
listening to this, you won't know that Shane Beamer doesn't know tricks. It was Hale. We have to be clear.
Hale McGranahan.
McGranahan asked him if he had any secrets under his hat, and Shane said, "No, I don't have any secrets under my hat." That's not a saying.
Well, exactly.
That's not a saying.
So he totally played into that.
Yeah,
He's like, got him up my
he
sleeve,
just
not
answered
my
the
hat.
question, but that's not a saying. I've done it too. I forget it all the time. I try to throw sayings out there all the time, and I'll realize in the middle of a sentence that I've completely forgotten how it ends. But
I love that Beamer was cagey enough.
Yeah.
Nope, none in my hat. None under my hat.
Secrets under the hat.
No secrets under the hat. So yeah, there's Shane Beamer from Tuesday meeting with the media. We'll continue talking about that Langston Moore coming up in about 10 minutes here. And he'll join us. We'll talk about secrets under the hat from spring games.
I'm going to think of some other ones.
Spring games of yore, I guess.
Of yesteryear.
Of yesteryear. 803-404-6100. South Carolina loses in baseball last night 9-1 to Mississippi. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Gamecock Larry wants to weigh in. Larry, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right. I appreciate Rooster P yesterday taking up an old man, but I ain't got enough time to tell you what I want to tell you. But we got the worst baseball coach in 50 years. The last coach that had the worst record anywhere was Bill Powers, 67-69. He went 47-40-1. This guy here, well, I tell you what, I didn't even listen to the game last night because I listened to a couple innings. But I'm going to tell you, I got the winning records, the percentages of the last six coaches. And I don't know. I'm just going to call you guys Monday morning and tell you this is not Carolina baseball. This is not Gamecock baseball. This is not a coach for Gamecock baseball. Like it or lump it, that's the way I feel, and you can call me what you want to. You ain't got to call me Gamecock, Larry. As long as you call me 3 times, as long as someone calls me 3 times a day for something to eat, as long as they call me once a month for a little Social Security check. Call me what you want to. But I know Rooster P is backing me. But no, this is not Gamecock baseball. And if you let me next Monday or Tuesday morning when I call in, if you let me give you some of these numbers, my research guy got from me, Dr. Macon, I can show you what this baseball coach is. That guy last night, he was throwing 100 and some pitches and ahead 9-0. What is that? Old-timey baseball, not just analyticals. Go Gamecocks.
Happy Easter to you. Good to hear from you and look forward to talking with you next week. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in. We have got plenty we're going to get to. Langston Moore up in the next hour. We'll catch up with him. You got any? Were you able to think of any sayings gone wrong? Is that the
got any pranks in your pocket?
Pranks in your pocket. We're just making up bad things now. Langston Moore is walking up the street behind us. We'll get to him in the next hour. It's the early game. 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game. WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
A Cumulus media station.
Tax season comes and goes, but foundation and crawl space problems only continue to get worse. If your home has cracked bricks or drywall, doors or windows that stick, uneven floors, or musty, moldy smells coming from that nasty crawl space, Mount Valley Foundation Services will provide a free inspection and estimate to fix it before it gets worse. Don't wait. Go to fixmyfoundation.com to schedule your free, no-obligation inspection.
Mount Valley Foundation Services, rock solid foundation.
Join the McDaniels Automotive Group and the Lexington Medical Center Foundation on Saturday, April 23rd at the Columbia Metropolitan Convention Center for the McDaniels Golf Classic Gala, featuring live and silent auctions, Blue Marlin Signature Catering, and live music with the Crystal Clear Band. Proceeds support programs and services at Lexington Medical Cancer Center, from diagnosis through survivorship. Purchase your tickets today at McDanielsGolfClassic.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
Don't make a $10,000 mistake. Only Galliana Kia on Greystone sells new Kias below MSRP. That's right, new Kias below MSRP. Like a 2022 Kia Rio LX, just $16,990. Yes, a new Kia for under $17,000. All new 2023 Galliana Kia Sportage, now in stock. Lease for just $259 per month. Worried about your trade-in? Don't. Galliana Kia will take any trade, in any condition. High mileage, cosmetic issues, unreliable, all trade-ins are welcome. Plus, we'll give you exactly what your trade is worth down to the penny. So if you want to overpay for a new Kia, that's okay. But if you want to buy a new Kia below MSRP,
You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
Galliana Kia on Greystone. I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Rio stock number 2K1116. Sportage stock number 3K3011. 36 months lease, $39.90 to assign. Plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. No security deposit. Subject to lender approval. Offers don't combine. Expires with that.
What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by Love Chevrolet. We treat you like family with no ridiculous add-ons and the lowest price guaranteed. I-26 at Harbison and at lovechevy.com.
The early game.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines real quick. Rusty, you got about a minute. He's got a Mardi Gras story. You got 45 seconds. Make it quick one.
All right, I'll make it quick. Listen, I marched in the Greatest Band in Dixie parade with a Camden High School band when I was a teen. And as we were marching to the French Quarter, the band director came alongside the band and said, "Look straight ahead, don't look up."
With Bill Gunter, Patrick Perret, and Jen Jensen.
Well, as a 15-year-old, I looked up, and the women along the balcony were exposing themselves. And I want to tell you, it's one of the greatest parades I've ever been in my life, guys.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
Let me finish, Bill.
107.5 The Game.
$7:02 on a Friday morning. as we get you ready for, well, I guess big Gamecock weekend has officially started. Last night it got going with a 9-1 loss by South Carolina. This morning it'll keep going, Patrick, with our buddy Moritz and the beach volleyball team.
Get us on the board, Moritz, please.
That's right. 11 a.m. this morning over at Wheeler Beach. They'll take on College of Charleston, 5:30 today, senior day festivities for the women's team there over at Wheeler Beach. They'll take on Coastal Carolina, and then tomorrow a pair of top 20 showdowns with Florida Gulf Coast and Georgia State. So you can get out and check that out. We've got a track meet going on. We've got more baseball tomorrow. You've got the Cocky Trot 5K run and fun run walk going on. And now joining us to break down all of those items, none of which will be football related.
Of course not.
We didn't bring Langston Moore in to talk football. Look at him. How about a 5K? Have you ever done a 5K?
Absolutely not. I've set up the orange slices and the hydration, and I will be at the end of the 5K. So I don't know if that's what everybody's going to be looking forward to after they wake up early and run through the city and try to get all their miles in to see a big old ex-lineman sweating on you, trying to push a book in front of your face. But I will be there in that capacity. But no, I'm not running. I'm not running at all. Period.
When's the last time you ran for distance?
That's a great question. It was during the pandemic. There was a great group of guys, old Gamecock guys, that had a weight loss challenge. They still have this weight loss challenge. It probably will be going on forever in perpetuity because we ain't never going to lose no weight. We're just a bunch of old guys complaining about losing weight, and we know everything to do. I was doing some type of run walking every day, and that got really, the run part got shorter and shorter every minute. So it was like a Dave Roberts trot, and then it was a walk. So those of you who've seen Dave Roberts run before, y'all know that famous trot. But it's not as quite as finessing as like a lineman trot like you might see running across the field. But still a little bit of effort, though, just enough to maybe get a little sweat going.
Patrick's not an outside person to begin with. Like he is adverse to the sun, which he played lacrosse in college.
Right.
He was a lacrosse player. And but since then the sun has become his mortal enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So challenges to being outside are big. And then just running in general, I think at a certain age, you just realize you're not sure if running for fun is really worth it. Like I do the elliptical.
Okay.
I'm done with, I've just learned with treadmills, the instability can mess with your knees a little bit.
For sure.
And so I don't do any running. Trust me, if you see me running, it's a very bad death that will occur to you, because if it's just like, something bad, quick and painless, I'll be like, you know what? I'm not even running for that.
You know how to move out the way quickly.
I'll just take what's coming. But if like this would be like being chewed on by a tiger for a little while.
Well, we did the combine and it took everyone out for a week.
For sure.
How long ago? Was that 2 years ago?
That was a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah. What was the worst drill in the combine? Was it the 40? Was it the change of direction? You guys didn't even do the individual workouts afterwards. I would have loved to see that. If Bill said, I want to do DB drills afterwards, or I want to do offensive line. Did you guys see the offensive linemen doing these?
I would have rather done that. So here's to go back to that 2 years ago, when we were doing the combine. We did, like, one of the things that I really liked was they had a wiffle ball machine. I don't know if that's a football kind of drill or not, but they had the wiffle ball machine, and it comes and I think you had to catch them. You couldn't two-hand. You had to one hand.
Okay.
One hand.
Okay.
And so I like those drills. Well, then, so we get to the 40, and I'm 38, 37, whatever I was at the time. I'm like, I'm not 40. When I was in high school and was a good athlete, running the 40 was not my forte to begin with. I was a distance runner if I had to run somewhere.
I would have guessed.
Speed was not. I was never going to be confused for Usain Bolt in terms of running, or really for a turtle in terms of running. Like
you're more of a tuck and roll.
Yeah, I'm more of a. It's a quick walk. Okay. It's a quick walk. But so we go to run the 40, and I'm like, I'll run it, but I'm not gonna hurt myself here.
You're not going to give it the Rich Eisman effort.
Yeah,
right?
we run. Definitely not in a suit. So we run the first one, and I was third in our group out of 3 people, and the only one to post an over 6.
Over 5.
Over 5. Over 5. Over 5 would have been.
That would have been impressive.
So I posted it. So we come back and we have to run it again. I'm like, I can do this. Like I can do. And the I forget who was. I forget which former Gamecock is running that Apex Academy, Apex facility.
Was it Paul Beckwith?
Paul Beckwith, yeah. And so they've put us through all the stretching drills.
And to be fair, you might have broken 6 with a generous hand timer, but we were doing the laser time.
Yeah.
So there was no cheating.
Did you have the wind at your back? Was there a headwind?
We were inside.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. The air conditioner was blowing into me. But
Langston,
anyway,
do you remember your combine results, by the way?
Absolutely.
Every one of them.
Well, let me.
I don't remember every one of them. But
let me finish this, and then we go to yours. So I get back there now. The competitive juices kick in. And I go to run the second one, and I pull the hamstring, and I'm down for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks. Like that was the last 2 times I've decided competitive nature over like just relax and have fun. I've broke some ribs and I've pulled a hamstring. My days are done. Actually,
what's worse, hamstring or the ribs? Because they both kind of, you can't really get comfortable. I would say it's a hamstring.
The hamstring, because the ribs, you can kind of like, and I'm not hurt right now, but you can kind of like lean one way or the other, and you kind of, and you kind of get comfy. The hamstring
bone connected to everything.
Hamstring when you have to walk anywhere.
Think about walking somewhere. You're like, man, I got to get up and go get some water, and I can feel my hamstring. My question to you is, at 38 years old, did your hamstring not give you like a little quick cramp? Did it not see it?
Well, now here's what happened too. I pulled it within like the first 20 or the first 10 yards of the 40, and I kept going, buddy.
Oh my goodness.
You can ask Patrick, but then
he wanted to break 6.
Yeah,
he really wanted to break 6.
I don't think I did. So that was I did play the other night, Wednesday night, and this is actually hilarious. If y'all have watched this too, the parents were making fun of me. Austin, my 9-year-old, they were doing some spring break training at soccer, and they needed 2 parents to play goalie.
Okay.
And and I didn't want to do it. That was not my intention of showing up to.
You didn't want to go out there and embarrass all these
So,
children.
but we're playing. It was like 9-year-olds all the way up to 12, and I had 2 goals scored on me. But the parents did like it. In my defense, you can put those headphones on and hear her for her.
Well, I can feel Jen giving the jokes.
But the first goal, I got way too far out of the goal. You forget how big those goals are.
Why? A lot of space to cover.
A lot of space to cover. And for a 5'7" person, it's even more difficult.
You get an inch taller every time you tell stories.
So Jen said I get an inch taller every time.
It's like a fishing tail, right?
So,
Bill just gets taller and taller.
So the next goal that got scored on me, though, I want to tell you I dove, but it was more of a soft lay down that resulted in a plank. And Jason Gilliam, our soccer coach, promptly pulled me out of the game for I think like
that's a sign of a great coach. You got to save the player sometimes.
Yeah.
You got to just attack the ball and play angles. If they dribble by you, so be it. But then you're not in a position where you need to dive for the ball.
I tried to convince Jason, our soccer coach, to let me play offense, but apparently he felt some of the
you didn't feel the need to like intimidate these kids with your age, and I mean I can't say size.
Some of them were taller than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jen,
there was a couple that looked back and said, "Hush, you're smaller."
Jen, if you were a late parent pulling up to the soccer field and you looked across and you saw a little kid standing in the goal post, you were like, "Who's that new player over there?"
It's Bill.
You wouldn't think it would have been Bill, would
Right, exactly. Cute little guy.
From a distance, Bill probably looked like a 9-12-year-old.
So the parents were like, "Oh, we've added a new kid, and he's dressed rather well for this event."
Look at him.
He hit puberty very early.
Did we get this kid off the Euro circuit? Look at he came in with the suit and
he's got a full beard.
Oh my God, is that a pack of European cigarettes in his pocket? What's going on?
Let's get to why you're here. There's a book.
Yeah, it's the best book it's the 3rd best book in the world. We a couple years ago, 2015, we published our first book, Just a Chicken, and we created the best SEC barnyard story ever. We got to get all our titles and different things, and set out on the track to make a whole bunch of books, and started doing school visits. Came out with our second book, Just a Chicken Little, right about 2019, second spring game. And then, of course, this thing called COVID happened in 2020, and this is the result of our COVID baby. So instead of making, baked banana bread and trying to plant plants and lose weight, obviously we talked about we weren't running and all that stuff during COVID. We were making books. So we took a story and some different iterations and used our character Cocky and introduced a new character called Eusta, which was kind of an older rooster who kind of imparts some wisdom on Cocky, who is having a little midlife crisis. Bill, he's not pulling hamstrings and out there running around trying to stop kids from living their soccer dream, but Cocky has lost his crow, and his whole deal is, who am I if I can't win the competition and be the guy who wakes everybody up on the barnyard? So he gets some help from an old rooster named Eusta, who kind of tells him it's not over for him. So it's a really cool kind of come of age story for everybody.
So we've got, walk me back through. We had What was the original?
The original was just the chicken.
Just a chicken.
And the second was just the chicken little. And that one, we played around with the chicken curse and the coop was crumbling, but it really wasn't crumbling. And
I think that was the one you had Courtney Levitt doing the
yeah. We had Courtney, we had Kimry doing anybody who could do any semblance that we knew of that we played with that could do a great Lou Holtz impression. We pulled that out, and I think that's why Coach Holtz doesn't really talk to any of us anymore now, because he probably saw that on social media, and that's why we're not on the Christmas card list anymore.
We got some good. Courtney Levitt played in the virtual golf event with us back in February. And we got some good Lou Holtz stories and some good.
He's got it down.
There's a lot of things Courtney is great at in life, but I think his Lou Holtz impressions are probably up there. I don't know if he wants to put that over his fathering skills or being a husband, but I think he actually entered a contest one time and up there in New York in Times Square, somebody there at ESPN Zone. He always tells the story, and he's like, he stepped up to the mic and did his little Lou Holtz impression. And everybody was like, "Is that really Lou Holtz?" I think he won a free appetizer or something that. I don't know, but it's his impressions have taken him far.
So you, Preston Thorne, who we saw yesterday, Kevin Roche,
of course. We always had to loop Kevin because he puts all the great kind of Gamecock little touches and nuances onto him. Being a Gamecock himself, he can really express that through his art. So make sure we keep the original band together and keep churning out these books.
I have no idea how he does it, because I see his he'll do baseball players and all the things he does for ESPN. I have no idea how he's able to do that.
Well, it all started way back, Patrick, when he was a public school kid out there in Lexington Rich 5, and he used to draw cat butts all day long.
That was the beginning of it.
We've heard this story from his teacher plenty of times, and Kevin hates when I tell this story, so I will tell it relentlessly because he can't beat me up, and I'm far. He doesn't wake up till he's 11 o'clock anyway. But nah, man, Kev is, that's the talent, man, because when we first met Kev and, you see his stuff and you're like, yeah, this dude can draw. But then he has a whole process of going from the stick figures to the shading to actually incorporating it into the digital stuff. And all of it looks like the books that I wish I beg my mom man, can you buy me this drawing book so I can go on and I would draw the first stick figure. I'm like, this is terrible. And of course, any good kid never used the book again. So Kev was the one that could do all of that stuff. And thank goodness we can rely on him instead of our own kind of stick figures and bubblegum drawings that me and Preston kind of do. So,
well, if you want the drawings or if you want the story, where can people catch you? You're going to be all over this.
We're going to be all over. So we'll be at the baseball game tonight. We'll be at the Gamecock Trot tomorrow morning there, and of course Soda City, and we'll be out there Saturday afternoon for the at Tailgate Park. With our books, we can definitely autograph them. There'll be a concert going on with Patrick Davis, and I think Michael Haney's going to jump up there because we tapped the shoulder for those guys to kind of make a song for us. And so Patrick Davis was smart. He let Haney kind of be the one to come up with the song for this one, but it's a phenomenal deal. So outside of that, if you don't catch us at any of the tailgate stuff or any of the athletic events, you can always go to athletesandartists.net. athletesandartists.net, or look up any of the hashtags, just the chicken, used to, was a rooster. We try to be really obscene and in your face on social media so you can always find a book when you need it. And hopefully you can keep Preston and Kev employed by picking up a few of these books. They got a mean Bojangles habit, so
we'd like to keep Preston around here. We know that that's part of how he's able to do that.
Yeah, so. we can't pay you in cash, but we can pay you in books. So that's how we do it. But no, it's always fun. And Athletes and Artists and social media, we always try to make sure we're really present so everybody can contact us and reach out to us.
We'll keep talking about that this hour. We'll get into your thoughts. We want to go back to spring games of yesteryear and get back into some thoughts on some spring games under Lou Holtz and maybe some of the guys that you remember and some spring game performances. I believe you were part of that Corey Jenkins to Quay Muhammad incredible spring game in about 02 or 03, I believe, where Muhammad went off for about 700 receiving yards that day. Corey Jenkins was a Heisman candidate when we walked out of the Williams-Brice. So we'll get into that and keep talking about Houston was a rooster.
We gonna get you right.
Who's responsible for the name? Who takes credit for that?
I think it was a combination because it's kind of an old saying you used to hear around in the country a little bit. Used to bees don't make honey. Used to was a rooster that don't crow no more. It's basically the phrase that we got it from. So it goes back to one of those deals where used to play football a long time ago. Ryan Brewer used to be the greatest whatever. Now he does XYZ, and that's kind of the whole crutch of the deal. Just because you might not be able to do what you used to do. There's still some value for you, especially when it comes down to giving knowledge and wisdom and trying to help these kids not pull their hamstrings. Bill, there's a place for you in the world to make sure that you warn
Yeah,
the
it's called the
kids.
sideline. I know where that place is. I'm well aware of that.
But that's where the children need to make sure they're listening to you. So they're like, I don't want to pull my hamstring like Mr. Bill. I mean,
well aware of where that place in this world is for me. It's the
Some
couch,
of
the
us don't.
sideline, and I've got like one of those zero gravity chairs for out back.
You could be like T.O. though, like still be out here like, man, I'm still got a few. No, Terrell Owens, no, sit down. It's okay. But it's always, that's something that, translate against everybody. Everybody's
He's
trying to figure
currently
out what they
devastated that he lost his basketball coach.
Who?
Terrell Owens.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he was at the tournament. He was at the tournament cheering on Lamont Paris.
Oh,
and
that's
the,
true. Yeah,
Chattanooga
he
Hawks.
is right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
I saw him there. They almost upset Illinois, and he was front row in the crowd.
Was ready
So
to
does
go.
that make
Yeah.
T.O. a de facto kind of South Carolina Gamecock fan? No, probably not. T.O. would probably he's going to live and die with that team up there.
I would
with his
assume.
college team. He's not.
It'd be
gonna
nice if he had a relationship with Lamont and he started recruiting for us.
That
though.
would- that
he's
wouldn't
actually
hurt.
he's very good at basketball.
Yeah.
Oh,
he was
very good at basketball.
Did you ever meet him?
I've seen him plenty of times, kind of adjacent with Sheldon Brown and all those guys when they used to be out there in Philadelphia. But I mean,
I got a
physical freak, and I don't mean that in a pejorative sense at all. I mean, he's phenomenal.
Something that Patrick and I have been talking about this week in particular. Biggest. Well, I'm going to ask you when we come back, so I'll give you time to think about it. Biggest physical guy you've ever seen, like physically, like we were talking about people that we've you've
purely largest,
like just like absolutely. So we'll get that from you. We'll talk some spring football. Continue talking about Eusta was a rooster. I'm going to get there, and you can check out everything out.
Sometimes the kids read the story to the parents. Sometimes, so it feels like Jen, this is what this is going to be.
Yes.
It's a family.
That's why Jen's here to
Yep.
read me the story and put me to bed as soon as the show ends. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The Extra Point,
With Pearson, Preston, and Gamecock Central.
9 a.m. to noon.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 the Game.
If you've been paying attention, obviously there are volatile conditions in a rising rate environment in the mortgage and refinancing world. It is more critical than ever to work with a mortgage broker now like Benji Getzy and Buford Lending and his team to get you the best rate possible. So don't wait any longer. Call Benji Getzy today, 843-524-2404. You can visit them on the web, buford.mortgage. Again, you need somebody with experience, and that's precisely what Benji brings to the table. 25 plus years of experience to shop and lock your rate today. That's how he's going to help you get the best rate possible. You might be thinking about that summer project that you want to do, maybe enhance the back deck, maybe you put a pool in, and you can do that by cash out refinancing, getting some money back, putting it in your pocket. You just need to call Benji today and see what he can do for you and your family. 843-524-2404. Go ahead, give him a phone call, get a free evaluation of your current mortgage situation, and see what he can do for you in the future. If you're purchasing, you need to shop your rate with Benji Getzy. 843-524-2404 or visit him on the web, buford.mortgage. That's Benji Getzy and Buford Lending.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center.
Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
We do have some major tie-ups going on out there this morning. I-20 eastbound at exit 51, about a mile east of exit 51. All lanes are currently blocked due to an earlier accident. So again, I-20 eastbound around mile marker 51, highway is currently blocked. Other than that, things moving along fairly well for your Friday morning and your forecast. Mostly sunny today, 78 for the high. Rain and storms tomorrow, but should be clearing out later in the afternoon, 76 for the high. Could see some afternoon and evening showers on Sunday, and your Easter Sunday high is 72. Right now, it's 53 at 107.5 The Game.
This is Boomer Esiason with the CBS Sports Minute, sponsored by Indeed. Attract, interview, and hire at Indeed.com/credit. Compare and contrast, folks. On Tuesday, Reds president Phil Castellini threatened frustrated Cincinnati fans to support their team, or it might be sold and relocated. A night later, Brewers ace Corbin Burns picked up the tab at a local bar in appreciation of fan support during COVID. I'm Boomer Esiason.
Circle up, team. We've got status.
Evelyn's marketing consultancy client roster is skyrocketing.
Okay, so this week is a biggie. We've got the pitch and 3 client meetings.
She needs another analyst before her team's free time plummets.
Who's running the competitive analysis on fruit snacks?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
One historic game. A prime time event. Saturday, the USFL makes history with a special opening night as the Birmingham Stallions open the season against the New Jersey Generals. Live on Fox and NBC. The biggest game. USFL kicks off Saturday, 7:30 Eastern on Fox and NBC.
Sponsored by Staples Stores. Staples has everything you need for everywhere you work. Now save $15 when you spend $75 on select items. In-store only. Offer ends 4/16. Coupon required. One per customer. See store or staplesconnect.com for exclusions and details. Staples, the working and learning store.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer.
Sonny, it was, I think about 4 pounds, 3.5, 4 pounds. I think somebody estimated 3.9, but yeah, about 4 pounds. 7:27 on a beautiful
7:27 on a Friday morning. It's the early game. Patrick Brett, Bill Gunner, joined, of course, by Langston Moore. Eusta was a rooster. It's
There we
out
go.
now.
There we
Big
go.
Gamecock weekend. It's going to be everywhere. You want to tell them where you're going to be at this weekend
Yeah,
again?
we'll be out there at Gamecock Park at the Gamecock Village. Especially, you got to make sure you come out and check us out before that big Patrick Davis concert. Michael Haney's going to hop up on the stage and do his little rendition of the song that we hired these guys. Don't get worried. There's not going to be ex-linemen singing and trying to croon. We can't do that. We figured out a long time ago, we're barely football players. We can't be singers, but we'll be debuting our song Born to Crow that Michael created for us with the help of Patrick Davis. And we'll have our books out there. We'll autograph them. We'll say something nice or kind about Clemson or your favorite team in there. It doesn't matter to us. Just make sure you pick up a book from us and, get a picture, man, because we love to come back out here. It's been a couple years since we've been able to debut a book, and we had a nice little schedule every year of putting out a book with Just a Chicken in the spring game and Just a Chicken Little with the next spring game. But then, of course, we had the COVID. So it's really cool for us to get back out here and full contact, hug people, and do all this cool stuff.
How long ago was the idea for this one? Like, what is start to finish the process?
Oh man, so again, thank goodness for us playing football, because we're still not young and dumb, but we've run our heads into each other. So we started it off, I think, around the summer of 20, and we were like, yeah, we got some time. This COVID thing is happening, so man, we can bang out a book in about a month. Kev, can you put this together? Kev's like, no, but we'll start trying. And so again, it went. Basically, it takes us about a year and a half to get everything, illustrations, editing, permission, different things like that, getting all the little nuances and the little things that come into making a book. And of course, for us, we put a lot of care behind it, all the little tchotchkes and the little different things in there. We always try to make sure that, because we're Gamecocks and this is our kind of like baby, we always put so much thought into it. So that's why we make Kev redraw these pictures and put these little symbols in here and these little different things and make the chickens look like this and all these different things. So for us, the short answer is probably about a year and about 3 or 4 months.
And is it just you call Preston or Preston calls you and it's like, all right, here's this for a starting point, or you just know here's going to be kind of the moral of the story and we'll work backwards? Or?
So we'll start with an idea, and that's probably the coolest part for me, for us. What we found out is like the creative process. There's a lot of different parts in the creative process. Like you come up with an idea and you get excited, that's that in the shower moment. You're like, oh, I got an idea for a song, but then you got to get out and find somebody who's going to sing that song for you or write it this way. So for us, the creative process that way, we kind of start with like the title in mind with us for this one. We had some themes that we wanted to keep going on, and then from there I just kind of build it out. Thank goodness we don't live together anymore. This is not South Quad anymore, so we utilize technology a good bit. So Google Docs, our phones, voice memos, and this is a great lesson that we use when we go into the schools and when we talk with the parents about creativity. Like we hear a lot of misnomers about like screens and different things and social media and all this stuff. That stuff is great, and it can't be one thing. And we always say like electricity, you can cook a man or you can cook for a man. Same way with all this technology. We use it in the context that we can just kind of live stream and do our stuff in separate locations, because I'm still in Dallas and Preston is always mobile, moving around, and he has a newborn, so I'm not trying to hang around there with all the crying babies and all those different things. I mean, I love them and all, but that's
like
your baby that's crying all the time. Man. Come on, man.
You've
Come
done
on.
that. You're past
Come
that.
on.
Yeah, I'm with
so
you.
So yeah, we'll utilize Google Docs and that's the cool thing. We're able to put a lot of those things together, and this is something that we tell the kids is that we use all the same tools to make our books that you guys use every day in school. So there's no reason for you not to go out there and be creative.
And again, this one is is it the same? Is it the same main character that we have started with? Is that
yeah? So Just a Chicken, we started off with a chicken who ran around and compared himself to everybody and didn't realize he was Cocky the mascot. And so once he went back to the coop and figured out that being who I am is really cool, not being the Gators or the Bulldog or whoever it is, that collie or whatever, is cool being a Gamecock. So the second book we came up with, the main character in that book was CJ, which was Cocky Jr. So it was basically little chickens. They heard something fall on the roof and they didn't understand what was going on. So they went to Big Cocky, and they kind of find it's kind of like Star Wars. We kind of had like the middle, so Cocky was like the savior in the second book with Just a Chicken Little. He was like, yo, this is not, first of all, there's no chicken curse because we ain't no chickens. We're Gamecocks, and those folks on the roof, that's really just the kids having a good time with Sandstorm. So, that's going to be you one day. So there's no reason to fear it. And so that's kind of the character. And then we circle it back around to Cocky this time. Kaki's kind of, had some success. He's got a little bit of the Tony Soprano. He's got the velour suits. He's got his change going, so he's on his way. But, just if you're a real big Sopranos fan, Tony had kind of a character identity deal in the same way with with Kaki here. He had to find his old kind of consigliere, his old coach to kind of help him out and say, yo, man, your life's not over. We're not putting you in some grease and putting you next to a biscuit yet. There's still a little bit more for you to do in your life.
Okay, so you can check that out. Again, y'all will be around this weekend at the spring game, which you've participated in a couple of those in the past. What do you remember? Like, do you have a spring game memory? Do you remember a particular play or a particular game that just in how it went?
There was one game, I think that was Bennett Swaggart's sophomore year. And Bennett was a Somerville guy. Of course, Preston was a Somerville guy. And, James Island, Somerville, we say they were rivals, but Somerville was more of our bully. They beat us up all the time. And I just was always talking trash to Bennett. Bennett was probably one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever played against, except for, he had like glass knees, man. Right. He couldn't just
porcelain knees. Porcelain knees. We talk about my injury issues.
I mean, bubble wrapping. And again, Bennett probably had the body of like Joe Namath when he was like 17 years old, and still kind of looked like he had the bald comb over. But Bennett was a phenomenal quarterback, and that's the reason why he's such a great offensive coordinator. Shout out to him down there at South Carolina State, all the stuff that they did this past year. But Bennett made that game so competitive for me because he talked trash to me the whole week because they split up the teams and they divvied up the teams, like some of the older guys, some of the younger guys, and Bennett was on the other team. And when I tell you Bennett Swagger was out there throwing dimes, giving it to me again, maybe this is just the memory. It's like your fishing story. It gets better and better, the older I get. But that was probably one of the most competitive games because there was somebody across the way like, yo, I'm going to give this Langston. And that was probably by the time I was coming into my own a little bit. Cecil and Cleveland Pinckney, those guys are gone. So I thought I was the man. So that probably made that spring game a really competitive deal. But that's the thing about spring games, especially what Coach Holtz was like. There's a lot of times for us when we played it, there never was like a true just run the clock, play the game. It was Lou Holtz. We're going to have a 10-play drive. And then from there, then we'll start the regular drive. And if you stop them, you can get off the field. But a 10-play drive would probably lead to like a 30-play drive because you're tired at that point. But it was one of those crazy things like running around with like a weight vest on or something. That was just kind of the method and the madness for Coach Holtz. And he always made spring practice something like you were like, man, this is not something we're just going to breeze through. This is not going to be something like, we can just kind of, get through it. And we're going to have a barbecue at the end of this. Now you're like kind of beat up and tired at the end. That was definitely my experience. But coming from winter workouts to the spring game schedule that Coach Holtz would put in for us, and then having Coach Moore's offseason workout kind of waiting behind that, there really was no time to rest, even though it was the offseason for us.
I was going to ask you, spring, how do you compare what you went through, and I think you were kind of just doing it, to what you saw when you had the opportunity to go out and watch Steve Spurrier put his teams through spring, and now what you've kind of seen Shane Beamer in 2 years put his? How would you compare those three guys, and in terms of how you see them approaching spring?
Yeah, Coach Spurrier, definitely a guy who's, and you kind of know this with him. I mean, really a guy who maybe hour and 20 practice, we're going to get what we need. Let's not waste our time out here. Typical quarterback. You love those type of guys if you're on a defense because it's, you're not repeating a bunch of plays. If it was Coach Holtz, it's going to be 2 hours to, hold this period, 24 periods, 5 minutes a period, start the periods over. You're like, man, come on, what are we doing? But then you're like, we don't have a game for like 9 months, Coach. What do we? And that's kind of the difference in the ideology. And you think about one Hall of Fame coach versus another. There's definitely different paths to, being a Hall of Fame coach and figuring out those different things. Seeing Coach Beamer now is kind of a combination of those things. And I was telling Jay this and those guys on the show yesterday. The difference between first year and second year, especially in the springtime, is like, how much can you teach these guys? I know my son can handle this much workload. And it's the same way I think Shane and the staff have had a whole year to figure out who they have and what they can put on these guys. But just watching some of the practices, I mean, they got 3-4 pods going on. When I say pods, like they're doing maybe a scripted play deal to start off the practice schedule. And they got 3 teams running behind them in sequential order, which is crazy because they're trying to make sure they're limiting the time on the field, but they're getting a whole bunch of rest. But it's not easy to do that because I know pro teams, we couldn't, walk and chew gum like that. And then for us to do this in our second year, especially with the coaching staff, that you got to tip your hat to them. One, because they're healthy enough to have a bunch of guys that have, 2, 3 pods of different teams, offense and defense, getting reps. 2, they're running the same plays, so everybody understands that, it's not just we're giving Spencer Rattler this and we can't give Colton Gauthier this. No, everybody is eating from the same menu, and you have to make the same plays. They're making adjustments on defense. So a lot of situational football, a lot of tempo, and a lot of stuff going on. But I've been on teams and I've been in situations before where there's a lot of action going on practice, but nothing's getting done. That's definitely not the case out there with Coach Beamer. They got the music going, the kids are engaged, and you're seeing a lot of competition and a lot of stuff happen with multiple groups at one time. And that's not an easy thing to do, but I think that speaks to the volumes of how far along they are with the system, how far along they are with their injuries, having everybody back. Coach Beamer talked about having enough wide receivers last year. We know that's a totally different case here. So it's all in all, I think, a great positive thing. And hopefully we'll see a lot of that Saturday, which is the actual game being played.
Yeah, so we've talked about year 2 seems like the year where you should expect the biggest jump. I mean, is that what you've seen? Like year 1, it was more just you gotta usher them along slowly because they're trying to get the hang of it. It's brand new system for all these guys. Some guys are seniors; they've done one thing for 3 years, and now you got to throw something new at them. And is that kind of accurate?
It all depends, and I think there was some talent. There was talent here at South Carolina when Muschamp exited and Coach Beamer came on. It was just about figuring out different things, and of course, trying to figure out what the quarterback situation was. I think for what Coach Beamer has going on right now, I think it's one of those deals where, it's a combination of getting the right guys, getting a lot of buy-in because, there's been times where you can have a coach. Again, when Coach Holtz came here, I thought we were at least going to get a shot at being, national championship runner-up. We didn't win a football game. Now, it's not because we didn't know what to do. We didn't have a coach. We didn't have equipment. It's just, and it was a combination of a bunch of different things: injuries, guys didn't buy in, getting guys coming in and out. Sometimes you don't have that problem. And again, I don't think that it has to be an 0-11 season for it to be one of those situations where it has to be that bad. But the point is, I think Shane did a really great job of getting guys to buy in. You saw that with the winning record. You saw guys moving around with different situations. You even saw guys stay in and not transfer out or go to the NFL, like the Josh Vans and different folks like that. We have a whole bunch of offensive linemen that were older that could have left and maybe transferred out, went to the pros, but they chose to come back. And also did not just come back, but also try to push the win-loss total. So I think to answer your question, it's one of those deals where you got to kind of come in there and see what the room is like for these guys. And then from there, you can try to see how much you can push them and try to get what you want to try to implement. And because at the end of the day, like I always say, and like Preston always say, these guys are, they're kids at the end of the day, but they want to be led. They want to have some discipline. They want to have certain things, but they also want to go out there and perform for themselves. So I think Shane has done a good job of putting the right guys in the right situation and, again, keeping this team together in the right sense.
Do you remember? I'm trying to think back because I was in school at the same time you were. I think we're right there at the same age, maybe a year apart, 39, 40. I don't remember a transfer coming in at that time with like anywhere.
James Atkinson.
Oh yeah.
James, the Heisman Trophy candidate, or that's what they put in his locker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a whole.
He had I'll say this.
Again, phenomenal junior college. You would think Sean Smith was another guy. Had like 40 sacks in 2 years.
Smith, I remember trying to.
And never saw a sack again. Went to the NFL to be a run stopper. So
in defense of Atkinson, he had one catch in his career that mattered, and that was over Fred Smoot in Mississippi State game down the sideline that led, I think, to Kimry's play. I think it was on that drive. Now,
if there was one thing James Atkinson was going to be consistent was the inconsistently catching the football, and that was a surprise that day.
That was he went up over Fred Smoot, and Smoot was a big time trash talker and everything, but then he also is he?
Oh yeah, he's classic in DC radio.
I was going to ask, is he on DC?
Yeah, because he's still on out there. Oh yeah, they're keeping him locked in out there.
Well, that was again when the internet was really.
He did a radio show with TJ Hushmanzada and somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
he's hilarious.
Atkinson was a big. Patrick probably doesn't remember. I remember Atkinson. He was about 6'4", 200, 210.
And couldn't run. He actually made Coach Fry let him come on the track team and run some stuff.
He actually went on to have a little bit of a career with the Raiders.
Oh, James Atkinson stayed, and this again shows you how much physical talent he had. He played a good 3 years now. Played as a loose term. He was on the roster and it was injured, and I think he had like some back troubles, but he stayed in the NFL for at least 3-4 years.
That was a big catch, but then I think it was the following 2 years later. Down at LSU, we were down at y'all were down at LSU, and he had a wide open touchdown that I think would have made it 21-3. That was a Nick Saban team. It would have made it 21-3 right at the end of the half. He dropped it. Y'all didn't score, and then LSU that was the craziest. I think it was it was Corey Jenkins, I think, threw a pick six
Mm-hmm.
on the other end, away from me on the other end of the field, and that stadium went insane. And I remember coming back thinking, like, I've never been to any football environment like Saturday night in Baton Rouge. That was the wildest environment. I still to this day remember being down there on that Saturday night. And again, if Atkinson catches that pass, y'all, I like to say we because
Yeah, you're right.
but it goes. We go up 21-3 going into the locker room late in that game.
Momentum, and they had a team. I mean, there was
Well, the next year they won the national championship.
Correct. Andrew Wentworth was on that team. There was tons of guys that I played with. I think Spears was already gone, but
does that just blow your mind that he just
100%? Him and there's another guy from Arkansas that still plays. He's offensive tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. He went around somewhere. It'll come to me in a minute.
Not Jason Peters.
Jason Peters,
Wow.
100%. Jason Peters was a tight end next to Sean Andrews as an offensive tackle, and these two, and Jason Peters is still playing football, which is amazing. I don't know what he's doing. Talking about that LSU game, I always tell that story because LSU, of course, at night is crazy, but that was the time we were riding into LSU Stadium. I'm sitting in the bus behind Coach Holtz, and a gentleman from the Baton Rouge area is running along. I'm just assuming he's from the Baton Rouge area. He's running along with the chicken in the cage next to the bus. And he looks at Lou Holtz. He can kind of see Lou Holtz through the bus, and he reaches into the cage and he snaps the chicken's necks and looks at Lou Holtz. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, man just murdered our mascot. And it was great because Coach Holtz was like, Coach Holtz does like, he's looking down, but he's trying to act like he's not paying attention. But like, you see this dude running with a cage and with a rooster in there, and he reaches in there and breaks the chicken's neck. And you're like, and Lou's like, stares off into space like he's deep in thought. Like, I know Lou was like, what the hell on his paper? Like, he's right. Coaches always acting like they're writing something. But yeah, that's when I knew it was going to be an interesting game.
That is truly intimidating.
That was the I mean, I go back. I've gone everywhere in the SEC now, with the exception of Missouri and Arkansas. I've been to every other facility. I've tailgated. I've been at night games, 11 a.m. games. That one experience was the absolute wildest experience. We got there. I was in college at the time. We drove down. We drove overnight, stayed in New Orleans, and we stayed in New Orleans and had a wild time. I think I was partying. I think the Lindsays might have. That might have been the other time I went down. But I was going to say I remember we went down. It was a wild experience. But we got to the game, and the LSU fans in the parking lot were super nice. You're walking through, and they're like, "Hey man, you want a beer? You want to? We got food." You went into the stadium, and it was a night game, and at that time, y'all were 5-2.
Yep.
You were rolling along, and they had that back to back. We'd had the back to back Outback Bowls. We were 5-2. We were really kind of cruising. One of the losses had been to Georgia on the pitch play to Pinnock.
Then the Virginia, Matt Schaub up there.
Yeah, that was a rough one too. I was at that one. I was at that one, and we were in the grocery store getting. It was the wildest experience. We were in the grocery store buying food. It was a night game to play Virginia up in Charlottesville. And we're buying food at like 11 a.m., 10 a.m. to go tailgate and do everything. And there's a mom and this little kid, and I'm wearing the Garnet Carolina stuff, and the little kid goes, looks down the aisle and goes, "Mom, I thought Carolina wears blue." And she goes, "Oh no, those are South Carolina fans. They're crazy. They're gonna go start tailgating right now." And the little kid's like, "Well, in the game tonight?" She's like, "Yeah." They start like she's saying it where we can hear it. Like we're standing over the steaks aisle, and she's like, "Oh, these South Carolina fans are in our town, and they're crazy. They're going to start
warn them. Don't grow up to be a South Carolina fan, son."
And then we tailgated. I was with my dad that year. That game, we tailgated in the basketball parking lot wherever the basketball arena was. We showed up, and the guy to collect money and everything showed up at like 5 o'clock, and we were kind of up toward the front where we'd parked. The guy shows up and goes, "Hey, what time did y'all get here?" We're like, "I don't know, like 2, 3. He's like, "All right, I'm going to need like $20." And at that point, people looked at him and were like, "Tow the car." Yeah. There was like 150 cars in the lot, and they're like, "Go ahead, buddy." And it was a lost revenue day for him. Basically, we were just like, "Nah, man, you didn't get here early enough to accommodate Gamecock fans. You just lost your money today." But a wild time. But I asked you that, and we got on to James Atkinson. I want to ask when we come back how you integrate Spencer Rattler into this program, because a lot for him. We'll get to that. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. talking about all of those great visits, tailgates.
And we still have some major slowdowns out there to let you know about. I-20 eastbound there at Longs Pond Road, the on-ramp is currently blocked. Again, that's I-20 eastbound at Longs Pond Road, the on-ramp currently blocked. Also, I-20 eastbound between Longs Pond Road and exit 55, that would be Highway 6, that is closed due to a multi-car accident. So make alternate plans if you need to go through that area. Again, that's I-20 eastbound between Longs Pond Road and Highway 6 that is currently closed. Your forecast looking kind of nice today. Mostly sunny, 78 for the high. Some rain and storms tomorrow in the middle part of the day, 76 for your high, and then 72 on Sunday with some showers later in the day. Right now, it's breezy and it's 60 at 107.5 The Game. Coming back.
All that talk about tailgating makes you and road trips makes me think about Love Chevrolet. They've always been able to get me where I need to go, whether it's been a Tahoe or any other car or truck. Love Chevrolet has taken care of me through the years. They'll do the same for you. Visit them out in Irmo, I-26 between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park is where you can visit them. Again, the great thing about Love Chevrolet, they are not adding extra add-ons to the MSRP or to the sticker price. That's right. In this time of high demand and low supply, Love Chevrolet continues to take care of you and your family the same way they've done for over 60 years here in the Midlands. Go visit them again, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Whether it's the incredible selection, the low price, or that incredible customer service staff, Love Chevrolet has got you taken care of. They'll continue to do it even right now when it's high demand and low supply. Go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Langston Moore joining us for just a few more minutes. And I think I saw you put out your schedule. I think you're back on here later on this morning or today.
Man,
or
Jay Phillips, man. I owe him like a bet, man. So I always got to come work that debt off. Nah, we'll be right back.
He just wants you to talk soccer. Soccer and IPA beer is
again, he got the wrong guy for that, but I'll agree. Oh, yeah. Saw that. Yeah.
How does a team incorporate a guy like Spencer Rattler into the program?
Well, you come in there, of course, the good thing, he came in during the winter workouts. He's, been competing with all the other quarterbacks who have gone there. So you incorporate him by throwing him into the fire and seeing kind of, maybe where he intermixes. So the times that I saw him, the couple practices that I saw, he looks really good. And the point is, and this is the thing about bringing a guy like this in, is that he can start making these throws and it makes kind of everybody else kind of like perk up a little bit more. You run those routes a little bit better. You do what coach was coaching you a little bit better, offensive line, running back wise. And so that's been kind of the effect that I've seen, that, of course he can spin the ball. We knew that him coming in, but the biggest thing is that I think it's kind of elevated everybody so far to, up their game a little bit because, you hear the legend that, Spencer Rattler's coming in competition and all these different things.
You've had a chance to watch him. What is a fair expectation for him? Let's start with tomorrow night. I mean, it's a spring game. People are going to go there, and maybe if he doesn't throw for 300 yards tomorrow night, people come and go, oh, boy, we're in trouble. What do you expect from both him and the team tomorrow night?
Well, I expect a lot of, like, clean, synchronous stuff in between him and the wide receivers, him and obviously, because it's a big task to come in here and try to unlearn what you knew at Oklahoma and come here and learn some different things. But there is some similarity, and I think that's one of the things with Satterfield and all these different things, that there's a lot of similarities. And it seemed to me when I watched him in those couple practices that he looked to be on point, not just that he looked very comfortable in the system. And so not to say that, this is a similar system to the Oklahoma, there are a lot of similarities. And I think hopefully tomorrow he goes out there and plays a really clean game. But hopefully too, the defense tries again to give him some different looks and some different things, because it's going to be how it is week to week with the SEC.
And who's the biggest person you've ever seen?
Oh, yeah. Totally
the biggest person I've ever seen. Jonathan Austin is still up there.
Really?
Yes, 100%. Jonathan Austin is a freak. I'm just telling you, this dude is whatever.
Oh, no, he was my roommate.
Yeah,
he was my roommate.
Abs. You've seen him walk around with no shirt and all this stuff on, but eat everything.
He is he's physically much. Pick one, because I've got another Jonathan Austin.
Austin. Sean Rogers is another guy. And on top of that, he was left-handed. He returned a touchdown for 60 yards when he was legitimately 400 pounds. I saw him weigh in that week, and he probably, I think on the broadcast, they were like, oh, he's 360. I was like, hell no, Sean Rogers weighs 400 pounds more with all this equipment on. So,
have you seen the Australian dude in the draft this year from Minnesota? 6'9", 400 pounds.
And, bad thing was I was watching that with my wife, and she was like, who's this guy? And I was like, first of all, I know you don't watch sports. You're looking at him because, he's got the European, he's got the Australian,
Yeah.
And then, of course, he's a physical specimen out there just playing football easily.
We appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, man.
Good luck with Jay this afternoon.
Houston was a rooster.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for letting me slide up in here. I'm gonna let y'all. Yeah, man. I'll let y'all fight over it, man. I don't know. He doesn't have kids yet, man. So,
No, I'll take it. Add it to the collection.
For sure, man. For sure. And your dad hit me up. I gotta make sure I get him some.
Yeah.
Good seeing you, man. Are you gonna be out there at the game hanging out, or?
I was until May. They Austin plays academy soccer.
So on Saturdays, your Saturdays.
Well, and so last night he was supposed to play a game at 11 something. When they called last night, they're like, "Hey, can he play with the elite team at 2:20?" They keep moving. He's playing pretty good. It's his first year doing club soccer, so they started him off real low. Well, they've already moved into the second team, and now they want him to play on the elite team. So I'm like, I want to spend all day. I'm getting old. It's kind of like
you want your weekend.
The Florida game this past year, obviously South Carolina wasn't playing good, and we were at a soccer tournament all day Saturday. It was cold that day, and the girl that I'm dating, we were like, the tournament. I was like, we could go down there, we tailgate for like an hour, go to the game. I was like, but then we're not going to get back to midnight. We're going to be exhausted tomorrow. I was like, let's just go home. You know, we can grill something real quick. We can start a fire. You know,
They're gonna lose anyway.
Yeah, they're probably not gonna win. You know, go home and watch, and of course they just bludgeon Florida to death, and you're like, I kind of wish I'd been there for that.
But nah, you let your age make the decision for you. But that's how it is.
Honestly, if it wasn't for my son, I can't say I'd keep going to a ton of games, because the easiest thing in the world is, man, where I live there at the lake, to put the TV outside.
You got like you said, you got the lake, you got everything.
Turn the grill on,
no traffic
ribs or something like no traffic. I'm getting that way, but so I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. The game. If he's done it, if he plays at 2:20, is what they're saying. He'd be done by 3:30. Go home. Then you're not. I'm not gonna say 3:30. So then, even
where y'all play at? Do y'all play everything out there in Lexington, or like
tomorrow's in Lexington? But we've been recently. We've gone to Florence.
So my daughter plays travel softball, and it's like that. You're like, it's like, yeah, you only got 2 games, but it's like I got to drive 2 hours over here for these 2 games
and hang out for like an hour between games.
And then now she's at the age where like they're going to go eat after. I'm like, fuck no, let's go home.
Yeah,
they want to go to fun. I'm like, I don't even like these people. Let's go home. But
yeah, next weekend we're in Charleston all weekend.
Yeah, man. And again, Charleston sounds close, but like you say, you're gonna be out there for 6 hours,
Charleston's
and you're gonna drive back.
So we've got
the drive back is the worst, no matter what you're doing.
And like you said, trying to make that decision, like, do we stay 2 hours away, or do we thug it out and come back home, or then I hate the ones too where it's like, we'll see if we make it on to play the tournament on Sunday morning. I'm like, shit, let's lose so we can go home tonight.
That's some of the parents are saying in group text, we're like, we lose on Sunday morning, we can go to the aquarium with all the kids.
Oh hell
no, we're going home.
Oh hell no, no. We're here because we all play sports together. We're not going on field trips. Our kids aren't friends. They'll be friends later. Nah, that stuff was crazy. Appreciate y'all guys. Man. Give me a holler if y'all need anything for sure. All right, thank y'all.
You switching back?
Yeah, just to not get you confused, Jim.
Oh, you gotta do the cash thing here.
No, that's not it. I've got it.
Oh, it's right here. Where's the blue bill?
Well, today's $15.
Okay, and you got the keyword?
Bucks. 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 That is with a B, like Bill. Bucks. Bucks. Fun hour there with Langston Moore. We could really get into some stories. He and I, Patrick, we have a lot of connections. When I got to college, Langston being from down in James Island, but James Island, Somerville, Stratford, West Ashley, all kind of knew each other down there. And so there's a bunch of people that I ended up being good friends with from Stratford that in a roundabout way, knew Langston and so forth and so on. Jonathan Austin, as he mentioned, was from Stratford, and Jonathan and I ended up being roommates for our summer. He needed a place to live, and he ended up staying with me, and he would do the summer workouts for the football team. Jonathan Austin was an offensive lineman, actually played for the Redskins, or was on the Redskins roster for a little bit. I had a cup of coffee with them, then went to the Seattle Seahawks. But Jonathan actually lived with me, and what Langston just said. Jonathan is a large, large, large human being, and I am not, and I was less of a large human being back when I was 20, and Jonathan would come home from their summer workouts, and I would have gotten home just a few hours previously from my summer workout in 5 Points the night before, and I would be trying to sleep it off, and Jonathan would come in and would start fixing breakfast, and he thought it was hilarious that since I was hungover and only on about 3 hours of sleep to come in and bang down my door and like wake me up and make me eat breakfast with him each and every morning. And he thought that was hilarious because
really disrespectful.
It was. So yeah. So Jonathan,
You were
Austin,
working harder than he was.
Yeah, I was. I was out much later than he was, and probably up earlier too, technically. But so Langston and I knew a bunch of kind of the same people and hung out. Again, so it was interesting. So going back to that time in our life, talking about that was kind of fun for me, reminiscing on some of those football games he was talking about, even though they ended up in losses, the Virginia game and the LSU game there in 2000.
It is actually crazy that he mentioned Jason Peters and then what's his face? Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah.
Just retired.
Yeah.
Insanity. 40 years old, elite pass blocker.
That's kind of the part. Like, I don't know. If they were a quarterback, you'd be like, okay, yeah, I
no
get
big
it.
Deal.
But you're right. Like an offensive lineman is
he
totally
wasn't just
different.
playing. He was outstanding.
Right. Absolutely incredible what he would be.
By the way, I pulled up Langston's combine. 505 40, 29 reps on the bench press.
Nice.
29 reps is a lot of reps.
Langston was very, very, very underrated defensive lineman. Obviously went on to have a very good career with the Cincinnati Bengals as well. So very interesting. So it was a very, very good hour there. You can go back and hear it on the podcast page if you'd like with on Spotify, or you can go back and catch it on our YouTube page there as well. You can go to youtube.com, search, click, and subscribe to our 107.5 The Game YouTube site. So we will get more into the spring game this coming weekend in this hour. Maybe let you listen to a little bit of Clayton White and Marcus Satterfield, who spoke yesterday. And Patrick, just takeaways from what Langston had to say there as it pertained to Spencer Rattler and coming in and being integrated into this program.
Well, the importance of him getting here early, and really my biggest takeaway of that whole hour was he described the practice schedule in detail that I had never really heard about, how they got the 3 groups going at one time. And I'm very impressed because that's kind of the worry when you have someone who's new to being a head coach. Like, you were comfortable with Will Muschamp in little details like that. Like, Will Muschamp knows how to plan out a practice. He's very methodical and things like that. So you're comfortable with him leading a program in that way. But Shane Beamer sounds like he's got that thing rolling, and maybe that's just he's been with so many legendary coaches already that he just kind of knows and has been ready for years. But that was my biggest takeaway, is how kind of well-oiled the machine is right now at at the practice facility.
803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning, be a part of the program in any way, shape, or form, we will get to some stuff here coming up after this segment. It is time for the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. We'll catch up with Chris Deering here. I want to remind you, Corley Pool Solutions, you need someone with experience in the pool industry. And I tell you what, Tracy Corley has got you taken care of in that regard. They do a absolutely phenomenal job being able to identify any issues you have with your pool. Every pool has its own personality, and do you really trust the pool store representative to properly diagnose your pool's issues? That pool store representative is at the pool store. They're not staring at your pool. If there's something small, something big, they can't figure it out. Tracy Corley comes to your house. He has flat rate pricing, including all the chemicals. So give him a call today, 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. That's how you can get in touch with Tracy Corley. Again, every pool has its own personality. And how about this? Right now, Corley Pool Solutions is offering leak detection. That's right. They can actually come in, and if you're having a leak anywhere, Tracy Corley and his team can actually detect that. It's a brand new service that they're offering. They'll make sure that your pool is running properly and doesn't have any leaks. So call Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109. Weekly cleaning, no contracts. And again, flat rate pricing. You get that one price. You don't have to worry about extra add-ons or things being tacked into the price when you receive your bill. Corley Pool Solutions has got you taken care of. 803-445-8109. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines for the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. Chris Deering joining us now. Chris, how are you doing? Are you ready for Easter weekend? Have you got all your candy ready to give out?
Candy's ready to go. Easter eggs are hidden. We're ready to roll, Bill.
That boy, good. And you have had a full week of spring break baseball. The Forest Acres Classic has been in full force. We talked about that last Friday, and you were going to get out there a little bit. Give us a little breakdown of what you've been able to see over at AC Floor.
Yeah, I was able to get out there twice this week over the AC Floor. Turned out to be a really good week for River Bluff. They won the Classic, defeating Great Collegiate in the championship. They had a beat AC Floor during the week. Really pitched well. The Hudson kid pitched well. That River Bluff team, still at this point in the season, they've only lost to Lexington. Lexington has taken 3 out of 4 from them, but that team's really good. Mark Barnett's been in state championships before, and he knows how to coach very well. And I think this team is really hitting the stride. And like we talked about, we come back off of spring break, and there's only 2 weeks left in the regular season, and then the playoffs start. So a lot still to play for a lot of teams, and River Bluff is right there in the mix. That region's probably going to go down to the last week, even though Lexington does hold the tiebreaker over River Bluff. Dutch Fork has played well this week. Chapin's played well this week. So I think that's probably top to bottom the toughest region in the state in 5A. And River Bluff has had a really good week at the Forest Acres Classic, going over there and winning that tournament.
Give me a little breakdown. One of the guys that I'm familiar with or kind of familiar with for River Bluff is a South Carolina commitment, and certainly the way things are kind of going for South Carolina, I think people want to hear about guys in the pipeline that can maybe come in and help. Thomas Powell is potentially one of those guys from River Bluff. Give me a little bit of a breakdown on Thomas Powell and maybe how you see him being able to help in the future, because again, Chris, you're not immune. You know what's going on with South Carolina baseball right now, and people are going to want to know about the future.
Yeah, I think that's a given at this point, the way the season's gone for South Carolina. But seen Thomas Powell a number of times. He's only a junior, so he's got one more year in high school, but just a plus athlete. He's really good. He's a good football player as well, but on the baseball field, he's fast, covers a lot of ground in the outfield, got a little pop in his bat. He can hit some home runs, and on high school level, I think that'll translate well over to the college level. I watched him the other night. Actually, he pitched the game I got out to see, River Bluff, and he came in relief. So he does a little bit of everything for that River Bluff team, but I think he's got a really bright future. They got another kid on that team, Bo Hollins. He's good. He's committed to South Carolina. He's a pitcher. I feel like he's going to be a pitcher on the next level. I could be wrong about that. He pitched against Westminster, the team out of Miami that flew in here on a private jet. Has David Ortiz's son on that team, and a Vanderbilt commitment, Sal Stewart, who I actually came away really impressed with this week. He won the home run derby, and he looks the part. He and Tucker Toman were probably the best 2 individual players in that tournament at Forest Acres, and so those 2 guys really look good. But I think South Carolina's got some commitments coming along. Young guys still, so they're a couple of years away from helping South Carolina. But I know one of the knocks on Mark Kingston was he didn't really recruit the state and get the guys in state. But I think he's making an effort on that. He's got the kids from Chapin that's pitching well this year, and got some from down in the Low Country that's pitching well. So it's got to be. It's a building thing, and I know people don't want to hear that for South Carolina's fact, but this team this year is probably not going to make. They might not even make the SEC tournament the way things are going, and I don't know that that's ever happened that they didn't make the SEC tournament. So it's just been a rough year for South Carolina, and we don't. I mean, 20-something games left for them. You don't see it getting much better before it's over.
He's Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every week for the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. Make sure you contact Corley Pools for all of your pool maintenance needs. 803-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. You also had a chance to get out to the South Carolina Diamond Invitational held over at Blythewood this week. Thoughts from over there? Is Banks Faulkner and Blythewood putting on a great event?
Well, talking about Banks Faulkner and Blythewood, they've played the part this week. Saw the end of their game against Hillcrest the other night. That was the defending 5A state champions. They defeated Hillcrest. They defeated TC Robinson last night 12-0. Blythewood really has to be the favorite in 5A at this point. They have to go through the upper state. There's some teams in the upper state that could give them trouble. That Hillcrest team, they're good. They will be there, I think, again, and be back there. But Blythewood's playing really well. And maybe the team that's got the most out of this week so far playing in that tournament has been Brooklyn Casey. They defeated Lexington in the first game. Last night they beat a pretty good Spartanburg team pretty handily. And today they play Berkeley at 11:30. So BC had a really good week. I'm trying to get. I came down to the Heritage yesterday, Bill.
That's right.
Trying to get back to Columbia right now, so I might go over and see Berkeley and BC at 11:30 if I can get back in time. So they've had a really good week, and they're supposed to play again tomorrow with the championship rounds, but I know there's some weather issues maybe coming up for tomorrow, so they might just end this thing today. I know there was some talk about it last night. But that's been a really good tournament. Chapin's played well in that tournament. Dutch Fork has played well. I mean, this week in baseball for the Midlands area, those two tournaments has been really, really good. And you saw some high-level quality baseball at both sites.
He is Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every morning. You can follow him on Twitter at cdeering82. He puts up phenomenal pictures like whatever you took a picture of there at the Heritage yesterday. Is that a bird? What was that?
Some sort of bird. I don't know what that was, Bill. He was just hanging out though, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yesterday was a good day at the Heritage. It was not probably as crowded as it's gonna be over the weekend. Got to see a lot of golfers. Got to see a lot of good play. Saw a couple of people chip in on 15, so that was pretty cool to see. I know Dustin Johnson struggled a little bit yesterday. Saw him for about 4 or 5 holes. But yeah, that was fun to get down and just take in the Heritage for a day.
He's Chris Deering again joining us as he does each and every week for the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. Let's transition a little bit to some basketball news as it pertains to South Carolina and a former Midlands prospect, Juwan Gary. This is, I don't know if it's come out of nowhere or I mentioned this actually in our opening hour, Chris, and I forgot I teased it and didn't mention the name, but Juwan Gary, former is he Gray Collegiate? Was Juwan Gary
Great. Yeah,
okay.
he went to Gray Collegiate.
He was at Gray Collegiate. He went to Alabama. He is taking an official visit to South Carolina over the weekend. What can you kind of share on his interest level and what would this mean? Getting a former 4-star prospect back home would be to me a pretty good start for Lamont Parish just in terms of bringing a young man back home.
Yeah, I think that would be really big for Lamont Parish to get this thing started. Juwan Gary he was a top-notch player coming out of high school. I know he came off the bench for the most part at Alabama, but he played a lot of minutes. He was in the 15 to probably 20-minute range at Alabama every night. He's really good defensively. I think that's where he helped the Crimson Tide, and he's a glue guy. I mean, I've talked to Deion Bethea about him before. He does a lot of the little things, and South Carolina's going to need a lot of help, going next year with what they've lost and potentially could still lose. So I think this team could use a Juwan Gary. The Hayden Brown kid that visited last week, he went to Burns High School. He played at the Citadel for 4 years. I think he could be a big impact player if he decides to commit to South Carolina. And I don't know that the Juwan Gary, I think it was nobody really talked about it, but I've heard that South Carolina was high on his list when he decided to transfer. So, that might be a good sign. I know his tweet yesterday was, "I'm home." So maybe that's a good sign for the Gamecocks and Lamont Parish that he wants to come back home and play here in front of his friends and family.
Again, he's Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every week for the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. A little bit of football news out there. Let's just get your take. And I want to ask you a question. The North-South game announcing their coaches over the weekend, or during the week. Justin Gentry, coach at Chapin, and Robin Bacon, the coach at Spring Valley, will be the two coaches there for the North-South game coming up. Your thoughts on that? And also, it's been, correct me if I'm wrong, it's because of COVID, and then this past year, we didn't have the Shrine Bowl game. Is that right? Is the Shrine Bowl game expected to be played next year back in up at Wofford, Rock Hill?
Let's talk Shrine Bowl first. It's not been played the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And all I'll say that there might be some news coming out on that later, but right now it's scheduled to be played this year. Jerry Brown, the coach at Berkeley, who's won state championships at pretty much everywhere he's coached, is the coach for the South Carolina team. Is scheduled to be back this year, but there might be some things coming in the coming weeks, or maybe over the summer, that we hear some other news on that. But I don't want to put that out there because I don't have anything confirmed just yet. But the Shrine Bowl is expected back for 2022. And then for the North-South game, that they really benefited the last couple of years. 2 years ago, I don't think they had the North-South game, but last year they did, and they benefited, getting top flight kids in there because there was no Shrine Bowl. But the coaches they picked this year, I actually texted with both of them yesterday. Robin Bacon and Justin Gentry are as good as you get, not just as football coaches, but as human beings, and really care about the athletes and want to do what's right in high school athletics. And couldn't be happier for those two guys. Like I said, I texted with both of them yesterday, congratulating them, and they seem excited and ready to get this thing rolling. And that North-South game is only going to get bigger and bigger and better in the future, in my opinion.
Again, he's Chris Deering joining us, heading back from the Heritage for another weekend of covering high school athletics. And just quickly, before we let you go, I'll get your opinion. Spring game this coming weekend over at South Carolina. What do you hope to hear? What do you expect to hear? What's your opinion on South Carolina and Spencer Rattler and everything that will occur tomorrow night, 7 o'clock? What do you expect the storyline to be Sunday morning and Monday for us to talk about?
Well, I mean, obviously the storyline's got to be Spencer Rattler and how he plays. I'm not the biggest fan of spring games. Bill, you and I have been around long enough. We've seen some spring MVPs that never saw the field in the fall. So, it's fun for the fans. It's a chance to get out and get a glimpse of Spencer Rattler and what he brings to the offense, and how it's going to look different than it did last year. I think if anybody's looking at their schedule and what South Carolina can expect, the offense has to get better than it was last year. And it's going to start at the quarterback position. And Spencer Rattler is, even though he transferred from Oklahoma and didn't play a lot last year, he's still on NFL radars, and he's a top-notch talent. And I think that's going to be the storyline. And, maybe how some of the running backs step up with the departure of the two running backs that went to the NFL. So, a lot to look forward to, but I don't take a lot of stock in the spring games. I was debating on whether to go, but now that the weather looks a little bit iffy, the debate's out of my head. I'm probably not going to go out there and sit in the rain and watch a spring game.
Actually, we were talking about that off air with Langston Moore about my schedule for tomorrow with Academy Soccer there for my son. And that, you're right, that might make my decision a little bit easier. It would be unfortunate for South Carolina, who's put a lot into this week. So we will catch up with you next week. Be safe coming back from the Heritage. Glad you had a good time down there. And we look forward to talking with you next week as we head toward the playoffs for high school baseball and softball.
Yeah, we'll have some playoff breakdowns next week, Bill. So looking forward to that. And wrapping up this season and getting ready to get into the crunch time. So you guys have a great Easter weekend, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good, Chris. Chris Deering joining us as he does each and every week. Again, the Corley Pools High School Highlights of the Week. Make sure you call Corley Pools for all your pool solution needs. They now offer leak detection. 803-445-8109. Flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. Big thank you to Chris Deering for joining us as he does each and every week. Coming back, Patrick, we'll get back into discussion on the spring game, little NFL discussion as well. We'll get your take because he did bring it up. Again, 2 weeks from yesterday, the draft starts. And
also 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks, yep. 2 weeks from today, maybe more interesting.
And 2 weeks from tomorrow.
2 weeks from today, though, we may be more talking about some of those guys he just mentioned, Kevin Harris, Saquandre White, and even J.J. Enagbari. I'll get your take on that when we come back. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. It's been an interesting show because we've gotten into a lot of my injuries as I get older, and you might be the same way. As you get older, you might be suffering from some joint pain. You might be having some problems, nagging pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, and you're just done with it. You're ready to move on. You're ready to enjoy the warmer weather. You're ready to enjoy getting outside and throwing the football, shooting basketball in the driveway, kicking the soccer ball around, or doing backflips into the pool. And if you're ready to do that and you're ready to do it without surgery, without pain medication, without addictive steroids, it's time to call QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. You can call QC Kinetics for a free consultation and free second opinion. You can learn more about these amazing natural biologic treatments that QC Kinetics offers. 803-281-6860. Again, that's 803-281-6860. Absolutely life-changing results you will get. I promise. You can get back to moving like you used to. No drugs, no surgery. And again, most importantly, no downtime. So don't wait around. If you've been suffering from joint pain, if you've had nagging pain in your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your back, call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. 803-281-6860. That's QC Kinetics. Rain between 1 and 3 and then moving out. So I was checking here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. 83% chance of rain. Yeah, you're right. Looks like the rain dies down at about 4:00. Okay. Well, oh man. All right. Am I forgetting anything else?
I don't think so.
So you got to work, and then you're heading out first thing in the morning. What, 5 o'clock?
Get off, yeah.
So you'll have your bag packed, kind of change at the office, and just hop in the car and go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably just gonna walk out, drive until I run out of gas, and then change at a rest stop somewhere. Hopefully get on the road before 5.
How long of a drive is it for you?
8 hours.
Okay. And are you gonna do the show up there Monday morning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not Tuesday.
Okay. That's the problem. All right. Right now we'll definitely be out the following Monday. I'll probably will be out Tuesday. I'll probably take Monday and Tuesday, and then I'll do the show from home the following Wednesday. I'll text in a little while, I'll email Terry and put in my days. I'll definitely be out Monday and Tuesday. Let me know how I can help you if you want to, what I can do to. We'll talk about it next week. Austin is just the mentality of a about to be 10. His birthday's next Wednesday, but we're going to Charleston next weekend. So I'm like, hey, you got a soccer game on Thursday night. You need to go to practice on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm trying to explain to him. I'm like, you can go to school on your birthday and just like hang out. I was like, look, if you go to school on your birthday, you're with me you're with me. I was like, we'll just stay in Charleston Sunday night and we can hang out at the beach and do stuff on Monday and come back. And his sister's like, yeah, let's do that. And Austin's like, I don't know. I don't want to go to school on my birthday. I'm like, what? But you can go to school on your birthday. Like,
He doesn't want to go to school on his birthday?
yeah. He's just, I don't.
That's like the cool thing is that everybody giving you attention on your birthday.
Yeah. Are we actually back or not?
No.
I'm not going to worry about a promo today unless y'all just want to go on. Just tell Terry, man, we had too much going on. I mean, you get Langston in here. Langston can talk. That hour zip by.
Yeah, you don't have to ask him too many questions.
No. That's not like you want JC in one day to just chew up.
Ask him one question, let him fill a segment.
I might see if you're out Tuesday if JoJo English wants to come in and just see what he thinks so far. He doesn't get to choose. Well, I try to let him choose. They do a good. Him and his sister. They do a good job going to school. So. Oh man. It's actually a good picture of me, Jen. I look pretty skinny. Don't have like a bulging belly sticking out there in the picture. Also, don't know why all of a sudden my speakers decided to start working perfectly again. Oh, thank you, Ella. Yes. Big fish. One cast. That's all I made. And I caught one little brim too. I'm wearing down. They actually. Need to decide how active I'm going to be today and tonight. Eusta was a rooster. Should have been rooster, not rooster. That's what kept throwing me off. All right. 8:33 on a Friday morning. Good Friday, Easter Friday. Big plans for the weekend. Hopefully you have. As we were talking about, the South Carolina spring game tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Williams-Brice Stadium. We've obviously talked a lot about that this morning and really the last two shows as we get you ready for really the final bit of football, Patrick. I guess the USFL does start this weekend. Somebody hit us up.
6:30 on Saturday.
Yeah. Was it the
Birmingham
Stallions, I think?
versus the New Jersey Generals.
It's going to be fantastic. I'm not going to watch a second of it.
I don't know a single player playing in the game. I will look it up.
I think you did. I think we did this previously, and you remembered some of them.
Well, I'll recognize them, but I won't know I don't know off the top of my head who's on the teams.
Tomorrow night, while you're doing that, I will get back to what I teased in the previous segment. Tomorrow night, obviously, Spencer Rattler will be kind of the headline of the spring game as we finally get to see him as a Gamecock. But Patrick, tomorrow night, the other two things I think that will be very interesting is how does Marshawn Lloyd look? How does Christian Bill Smith look? I'm very, very interested to see Lavassier Carroll tomorrow. The one-time high 4-star commitment to South Carolina, decommitted from South Carolina, went to Georgia. Georgia moved him to defensive back. He didn't want to stick at defensive back, ends up coming to South Carolina, and he is now kind of trying to get back into the groove of playing running back. I don't expect him to have a huge place on this roster this coming season because you've got Juju McDowell's another guy that we haven't talked about. We're talking about all those wide receivers earlier this week, but Juju McDowell's, again, another guy that we haven't talked a lot about. But Lavassier Carroll certainly will be that role. And then also on the flip side of things, you got to try to replace J.J. Enagbare, who I don't think had statistically a very good year last year. He got shown up in his draft stock. Remember, about this time last year, we were talking about Enagbare, Patrick, being a first-round pick, a mid-first-round pick. Now, I'm going to get your take here in just a second. But so you got the running back room. Tomorrow night, you get a chance to look at that and really see what they look like with the departure of Kevin Harris and Zaquandre White. And on the flip side of things, Jordan Birch and Jordan Strawn, can they fill those shoes of J.J. Enagbare? But if we talk about those three players, Harris, White, Enagbare, as we sit here 2 weeks out from the NFL draft, what are you hearing? What are you projecting for those three guys as it pertains to their draft status?
Enagbare, I think, will be probably safely a day 2 pick.
So he's 2 weeks from today. He will likely be a millionaire.
Tonight will be the night for him. He will not be invited to the green room or anything like that. I think he'll probably be a mid to late second rounder or early third rounder. Zaquandre White, I think he's going to be one of the higher running back selected. I think he has a chance to slip into day 2, if maybe a late third round pick, but I don't think this running back class is super talented or deep really. So I think 4th and 5th round, they're going to start flying off the boards and you'll see Zaquandre White's name picked. I'm not 100% sure if Kevin Harris will get drafted. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he didn't get drafted, but latches on somewhere in undrafted, unrestricted free agency. But he's had health issues. Not a freak athlete. Zaquandre White's kind of a freak athlete, the way he makes his cuts and things like that. And he's really dynamic with the ball in his hand. He can catch passes. He's on the older side, but as a running back, that's one position where it doesn't really matter because if you're drafting a running back in the 4th or 5th round, you're drafting one contract guys. That's kind of the new trendy thing to do is not pay running backs after their rookie deal because it usually doesn't work out. I can't think of a single running back right now except maybe Derrick Henry where they're not regretting the decision to give the running back a long-term deal. So Zaquandre White could actually be maybe not a starter, but as injuries carry teams through the season, he could find himself starting games next year if he's a 4th, 5th round pick, getting a nice little 3-4 year contract and getting some legitimate carries. But I wouldn't be confident in Kevin Harris getting drafted yet.
Kevin Harris. Then that becomes a very interesting question. Could Kevin Harris improve his stock by coming back, or is Kevin Harris who he is? Because you're right, Harris didn't have a great season last year. Some of it was injuries. I think, and I don't want to say cover up because cover up sounds bad, but we know going into the season, Shane Beamer goes, "Oh, he had a minor back procedure." We're waiting, and as we've said, and as people who are 40 or 45 or 50, that there's really no such thing as a minor back procedure, especially when you play the game of football. Those things are kind of significant. And so we don't know how healthy Kevin Harris was throughout the season. And look, I'm not gonna Shane Beamer holding his health status private is perfectly fine. That's perfectly acceptable, and I don't blame him one bit. But we don't know how healthy he was, Kevin Harris, last year to have the kind of follow-up season.
But that's by itself going to hurt him. I mean, a back injury for a running back.
Well, so my point is, you think about this team, and we're like, oh, okay, Marshawn Lloyd's back, and okay, Christian Bill Smith is a nice player, and oh boy, Juju McDowell, and you talk about it, and I feel like it's a lot of kind of unproven guys. Juice Wells, throw a Marion Brown in there, EJ Jenkins, we've mentioned him. I mean, you got Van Stogner, but I guess my point is, like, could Kevin Harris have come back and improved his stock? And if so, then I wonder what it would have done to the running back room.
Yeah, I don't think if he came back, it would just be, okay, well, Kevin Harris is the man, and here's the other secondary options. If, like, I don't want to say it's a shot, but he might have the lowest upside of everyone in the running back room right now, Kevin Harris, because he's not a breakaway runner. He obviously has some good build-up speed and is just kind of a downhill guy, and I don't know. I feel like just basing him off of last year, he was unrecognizable from the player we saw sophomore year. I mean, he really did run so angry and just break so many tackles, and we thought it was strange how little he was discussed in the national perspective. Like, he wasn't an all SEC guy, wasn't being hyped as a potential early draft pick this year, and we always thought that was strange. And I don't know, like, the analytics guys said that he wasn't really breaking too many tackles or making guys miss at a high enough clip, and it's just it is a little strange to look back at what he did last year and say, yeah, he's probably not going to get drafted, when 2 years ago he was absolutely incredible, running for over 1,000 yards in a shortened season. And still, I think that everybody else kind of in the running back room, except maybe Beal Smith, has higher upside just because they've got more juice.
And Rashad Amos, some information coming out about him this week, working kind of in the H-back role, similar, not the same, but kind of similar to almost like a Jaheim Bell. And because people forget last year, I think people forget, last year Jaheim Bell in the spring game was taking carries because South Carolina was without, Kevin Harris was out. They were without Marshawn Lloyd. Rashad Amos was out. South Carolina was down running backs when they got to the spring game last year. So it was Jaheim Bell.
Big though, is he?
He's a big boy, 6'2". I don't know what exactly he's weighing in. He was about 225 as a freshman. If he gets up to 240, I don't know what he.
I don't know if he physically can.
I don't know what he weighs at this point, I guess is my point. But I'll pull up the Gamecocks Online roster and just see if they've updated it at all as it pertains to Rashad Amos. But you have guys back there, and I think that's another part tomorrow night. That's another interesting thing for South Carolina. We kind of talked about, you got 4 quarterbacks. I'm assuming Luke Doty will be untouchable tomorrow night. Like, don't hit him.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also assuming he's going to get a lot of reps in that game, along with Braden Davis and Colton Gauthier. So you get to see 4 quarterbacks tomorrow night. You kind of get to see the current and Spencer Rattler, but you also get another glimpse into the future with 3 young quarterbacks, 2 of which we've never seen take a snap at South Carolina, in Gauthier and Davis. And then on the running back side of things, you'll get to see McDowell. You should get to see McDowell tomorrow night. You should get to see Amos. You should get to see a healthy Marshawn Lloyd, and you should get to see a Christian Bill Smith. And I still feel like, am I leaving? Oh, and Carroll. And you get to see Carroll. That's 5 running backs. The skill position guys tomorrow night, you should get to see a lot of.
I'm definitely not going to read, no matter who blows up at the spring game. If one running back has 200 yards, I'm not at all going to take that into the season as far as my mindset on how this running backs room is going to work. I'm fully under the impression that it's going to be one of those years where 3 running backs are going to play, maybe 4, and there's going to be different games where this is a Juju McDowell game where it just things are working for him, running to the outside and getting the edge, and this is going to be a Juju McDowell game. There's going to be games where it's a Christian Beal Smith game where we're just setting the tone and running between the tackles and it's working and he's pounding it, and that's just going to be his game. And then there's going to be some games where it's a Marshawn Lloyd game. Like, I just fully don't expect one guy to be the runaway leader in yards or carries or anything like that. I think they're going to try and make it fairly even and then just kind of ride the hot hands. And you've got a different array of backs that are going to be more useful in certain situations. I just can't imagine, no matter what, we can see Christian Beal Smith come in his first game in Williams-Brice Stadium and run for 3 touchdowns and 220 yards. And it's not going to make me think that he's going to be the workhorse back.
was trying to look and see real quick. Rashad Amos was listed in the most recent Gamecocks Online roster at 6'2", 225. So not inconceivable that he could be over 230 and be kind of that blocking back that maybe South Carolina would want to use. It's going to be very interesting to see because again, there's a lot of people there. But now, I should also say this, Patrick, and we saw the explosion. We've seen the explosion of the transfer portal. Aren't we coming back up on that time where now spring practices, spring games have happened? Players look around, go, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah,
I
not
just
enough,
like
no room for me here.
What are we about to see with another potential explosion of the transfer portal?
Well, it's gonna. I don't know how many quarterback battles there truly are, but it's got to be quarterbacks, right? I mean, how many running backs really are going to say, "Well, this running back room's pretty full"? That's a short-sighted sighted thing, and you could see someone like a Rashad Amos say, "Man, it's getting pretty packed down here in the running back room, and I don't know if there's a home for me." And he could transfer, but patience is the name of the game at that position. Like everyone will get their chance to shine. There's very few teams where just one running back takes all the carries and that's just the way it is, and no one else gets the ball. I mean, guys get hurt, guys get tired. There's different styles and things like that. It wouldn't make a ton of sense, but I mean, I can see a log jam at certain position groups, but I would think mostly if there's a starting quarterback named in the spring for any team, that would be the main catalyst for transfer portal activity ramping up.
That's the thing. South Carolina will have one, I think, scholarship. I think I'm right on this to give, like, if they want to take another transfer portal player, and whether it's another offensive lineman. Again, tomorrow night, I don't know. I feel like we only take away negative from the offensive line tomorrow night because if they come out and they run the ball effectively or they don't allow people to hit the quarterback, what I feel like we're going to say on Monday morning is, oh, man, that defensive line's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Jordan Birch and Jordan Strawn have
That's
really got to
just
develop.
That's kinda how the offensive line position is, though. I mean, unless it's a dominant running game and you say South Carolina ran for 275 yards in this game, you're not gonna pat the offensive line on the back. I mean, you don't notice a quarterback not getting sacked, you notice a quarterback getting sacked.
Right.
So that's just kind of the nature of playing offensive line. Your negative plays are always more noticeable than your positive plays. So if we don't come away from the spring game noticing or talking about the offensive line at all, that is a good thing probably.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the interesting part of tomorrow night as it pertains to the offensive line. And then I think you also look at the combinations they go out there. I'm sure the first few
Yeah.
drives, because if I understand correctly, it will be a first team offensive line and a second team offensive line. That way you can keep the continuity
Right.
together and they can kind of work on chemistry. But then you got to figure they're going to throw some backups in there that'll alter that offensive line a little
Sure.
bit as we go through the evening. And it's going to be very hard to kind of take anything away, I think, from what the offensive line does tomorrow night to translate it to what they could do against Arkansas.
Yeah, because we're not asking them to be world beaters this year either. No one expects that. So the only expectation from the offensive line this year is don't mess up. Just don't get beat right off the ball. Don't let people run between you untouched. Give Spencer Rattler
Right.
a little bit of time. We're not asking for him to sit in the pocket for 7 seconds. Just don't stink.
803-404-6100. Final segment coming up when we return. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
It's been a busy morning. Oh my gosh.
Final 3 minutes of the program, the early game, and we'll hand things off to Terry Ford, who's filling in for Pearson Fowler today from 9 to 12. Jay, Terry, and Tommy from 12 to 3. And Heath Klein will send you into the evening on the big Gamecock weekend. Again, coming up in about 2 hours. Don't forget, head over to Wheeler Beach for the South Carolina women's beach volleyball game against College of Charleston. And then 5:30 today, you can get over to Wheeler Beach for Senior Day for Moritz's team, as they are ranked 18th nationally and will take on Coastal Carolina this afternoon, Patrick. A few other things that we've not mentioned today. It's been a busy program with Chris Deering and with Langston Moore. Big thank you to both of those. But yesterday, some basketball news and notes coming out on the women's side of things. Sanaya Rivers, Patrick, is in the transfer portal. The former number 3 recruit in the nation, spent one season at South Carolina. I told you off air, when you're bringing back almost your whole team minus Destiny Henderson, and you're bringing in 2 more McDonald's All-Americans and another transfer with ACC experience, I don't know what to make it. Like, that's just going to be South Carolina basketball with Dawn Staley right now because of the level she recruits, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little surprised by it because she had some big moments in big games. It's like she was just riding the bench. I mean, 13 minutes a game, a little underwhelming when you're the number 3 player in the country. So I do understand it, but you know, you're losing. What was Anaya Russell was also a top 10 recruit.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you're losing 2 McDonald's All-Americans, top 10 recruits, 5-star, whatever you want to say. They're still valuable assets, and you don't want to have a empty bench or anything like that. But I mean, you're gonna keep reloading. I guess it's understandable. It's just she had a legitimate role on the team, so I'm a little bit more surprised by that than any of the others.
Well, yeah, like we said, it's just that's how Dawn Staley's program is now. Because not only that, but you bring back I was gonna
Victoria Saxon.
Well, Saxon comes back, but the young girl who got hurt, who I think is going to take over.
Oh, Raven Johnson.
Thank you, Raven Johnson. You get her back. I mean, it's or you get her back from injury, and she didn't even play. Now you throw in 2 more McDonald's. I think this is just how it's going to be. There's going to be some McDonald's All-Americans who probably commit here, get their championship ring, and then head off elsewhere.
They'll still go to another Power 5 school, and they'll probably start. They'll just be at they won't win a championship probably. So.
One other basketball news note to pass along: Lamont Paris filling out his staff with UNLV assistant coach Tim Buckley. He had been out at UNLV since 2019. He has also coached at Indiana and Marquette, both under Tom Crean at different points in his tenure there. He's been at Iowa. He's kind of a Midwestern guy. Well, we don't know anything about that. Okay.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, yeah. So we'll talk more about that next week. We are out of here for the day. Big thank you to Langston Moore. Big thank you to Chris Deering. Go see the family for Easter.
Yeah, have
ham
a good
sandwiches?
Easter weekend. Probably
Broccoli
Mac and
casserole or
cheese.
spring.
Yeah.
What is it? String bean casserole or broccoli casserole?
Green bean.
Green bean?
Broccoli.
Broccoli separate.
I'm going to go string bean casserole. Yeah. All right. Everybody have a great Easter. It's the early game, 107.5 The Game.
Happy Easter, my little chicks. See you guys.
Happy Easter.
We already.
Happy Easter.
I'll turn the mic off.
Thanks, Easter Bunny.
Yeah, take it here now.
All right. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Yay, Easter.
Have a great weekend.
Yay, Easter.
Can you hit end broadcast? I can't click on things on my computer right now. I don't understand.
That's not good.
Yes,